This is TWIS. This week, rewind. This is TWIS. This Week in Science, episode number 469, recorded on Thursday, June 19th, 2014. Space fans, activate! Hey everybody, I am Dr. Kiki, and this is This Week in Science! Today we're going to fill your head with nuclear probes, Neanderthal skulls, and just a few spiders. But first...
Disclaimer, disclaimer, disclaimer. The world does not agree on much. There is no consensus in religion. There is no consensus in political ideology. There is no consensus in what constitutes good art, music, or literature. There is no consensus in tarot card readings, palm readings, or horoscope meanings. There's no consensus in dreams, despite 8 billion people doing it every night. The one place you can find consensus in this world? Science! Scientific consensus is the basis of all facts, proofs, truths, and theories about what we hold dear. Reality. One more thing we can all agree on. It's time for This Week in Science. Coming up next.
I've got the kind of mind I can't get enough. I want to learn everything. I want to fill it all up with new discoveries that happen every day of the week. There's only one place to go to find the knowledge I seek. I want to know what's happening. What's happening? What's happening this week in science? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening this week in science?
Good science to you, Kirsten and Blair, and Scott.
And Scott.
Good science to everyone. Welcome everyone to another episode of This Week in Science, and as usual we have a packed show for you full of sciencey goodness, and we are visited by Scott Lewis from Space Fan News, and you're going to talk with us about stuff
Space.
like chemistry and physics and space? Is that
Space. Well, there's that there too. Astronomy is pretty much the science of everything that's not in this tiny little speck in all this grand cosmos. So I'll bring some science this week. Is that what this show's about?
This show is about science.
We're theming it up this week with science stories.
Yeah, theme.
I'm so glad that this is the right place because I saw something about Neanderthals on the moon, and I'm like, wait, what show am I on?
That would be
That's
almost
right.
as cool as dinosaurs on a spaceship.
You are Neanderthals on the moon.
Fly? Oh, my arms, I cannot fly this.
Yeah, right. T-Rex, not an astronaut. I'm not going to go there. Anyway, on this week's show, we have a whole bunch of science news, and I brought stories about brains and Fukushima, because why not? What did you bring for us, Justin?
I have Neanderthal origins. I also have the ability to see around corners,
Nice.
and I have fishy feelings.
What do fish feel like? They're
Wet.
slimy. They're wet.
Slimy.
Right.
Very humid.
Sometimes salty.
Very humid in here.
Yeah, Blair, what did you bring for us?
Oh my goodness. I brought crabs, crayfish, spiders, and frogs.
I like it. I like it a lot. And Scott, you brought the astronomy.
Yes. Let's see. Espresso in space. A little update from Gaia. How Hubble is helping out the New Horizons mission, and also the big, awesome ultra deep field now with ultraviolet.
Nice. I'm looking forward to that. We will be talking about all that stuff in the second half. So let's dig right into some of the big news this week. Fukushima, right? We all remember what happened in Japan. How long ago was that now? That was
4 years ago.
4 years ago. I was going to say 2 years ago, but how time flies. There's still melting down occurring. There's melting happening in the cores in that reactor chamber. And people are trying to figure out still how they can get in to see what's happening there without actually sending people in, saving as much human life as possible, not putting people in danger. How can we get a view of what's going on? What kind of robots? What kind of sensors? What can we do? And most recent news is coming out of Los Alamos National Laboratory. They're partnering up with Toshiba. And Los Alamos has been developing a method of that is going to let them use cosmic rays to peer into the cores of the Fukushima Daiichi reactors, creating very high-resolution images of the damaged nuclear material that's inside and not actually having to go into the cores themselves. Cosmic rays! Using cosmic rays. Cosmic rays are these high-energy particles that come from space, and they don't really interact with a lot of stuff. They pass through things all the time. We're getting bombarded by cosmic rays constantly. However, some materials, like this nuclear fissile material, it is more reactive with these kinds of particles, or interreactive with these kinds of particles than say you or I would be. And so they are able to use this to see how these rays coming in, what kind of things spin off as the particles hit. Interactions take place, and electrons and other small particles, bits of the material, spray off. And so they can use that to get a picture of what's in there. And so it's a pretty neat thing. And they've got there's a video that's available through Los Alamos about how they're going to that discusses how they're going to be probing with cosmic rays. Let's see if I can get a little bit of a screen share going here without destroying everything. So when the tsunami hit and just breached the reactors, it's just been difficult to get in there. And we had them melting down. We know that the reactor cores melted and the materials moved. And they're going to use muons that are going through to make a radiograph.
Which are not kitten particles.
No.
No.
That sounds adorable.
I'm a muon.
Yeah, no kittens involved.
No kittens.
No kittens involved. But it's an interesting new method.
Awesome.
Yeah, new method, way to get in there, save a few lives, and find out exactly what's going on. And what was it? Our interview a couple of weeks ago, last week, talking about the kelp project, trying to figure out about radiation hitting our shores. Still no real sense of radiation hitting our shores whatsoever. Oh yes, and Goldazator, I know I've got 3 Google notifications. Thank you very much. Sharing.
That's 3?
Just 3 right there. Yeah. All right. Brains, and more brains. You guys ready for this? Let's dig in. So according to another recent study this last week out of UCLA, researchers are looking at how the brain boots itself back into consciousness after you've been unconscious. And using functional magnetic resonance imagery, they're looking at the activation of different areas of the brain as people are anesthetized, and then as they wake up, what ends up happening. And they've shown that the brain is not ever silent under anesthesia. There's always a certain amount of electrical activity that's going, basal activity, and depending on the kind of anesthesia or how much anesthesia, the brain is differentially activated depending upon that. And the researcher who was in charge of this study that was published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences says that the brain actually changes spontaneously its activity patterns over time while it's under anesthesia. And then while the brain is booting itself up, as the anesthesia is wearing off and the patient comes back to consciousness, it seems like there are clumps or clusters of activity where brain activity is centered. And so there are what the researchers are calling hubs, and that the brain works through these hubs, gets activity in the hubs going, and then it spreads to other areas of the brain.
Right. So you're saying that when they're under anesthesia, the pattern in the brain is constantly changing.
Yes.
Right? So it's almost like the brain is giving itself a workout, like keeping it limber, right?
Something like that, yeah.
And then you have your specific areas that then it's focusing on when you're waking up that are kind of the powerhouses that control the rest of the brain.
Yes.
Wow. That's super intense.
Right?
It's like a perpetual motion machine. You can't stop, because if the brain stops altogether, you're in trouble.
I sort of picture it though. I mean, would this be similar to what's taking place while dreaming? While sleeping? I mean, the less centered, are those same areas of the brain more the conscious brain center, and do they fire
That's
up when
a
you're
good
waking up
question.
from sleep, or is this something completely different?
They did not mention this being similar to waking up from sleep. Because when sleep occurs, there is a very specific dampening of activity in a very specific way. And with anesthesia, the dampening of activity is different.
Yeah.
And the interesting quote from the researcher is that recovery from anesthesia is not simply the result of the anesthetic wearing off, but also of the brain finding its way back through a maze of possible activity states to those that allow conscious experience. So if you could imagine, like, the brain is booting up these hubs and like testing different pathways and going, is that it? Is that it? Is that it? Until it finally gets the right one, and it's like, all right, we are online.
Yeah, okay, are we standing? Do we need the legs? Do we have leg control? Are we standing now?
Wiggle your big toe. Wiggle your big toe.
We gotta make sure everything's working and get a status of what we need to do immediately, because I have no idea what's going on in the outside world, but we're going back.
Yeah, and I think that that's the wiggle your big toe for anyone who's been under before. As you come back, there are these very basic questions that doctors ask you. Are you able to move things? Can you count the number of fingers that I have? You know,
is that the right arm we operated on?
Right.
Yeah, these are all things that would wake me up pretty quickly, actually, because those are terrifying questions. Does it sometimes happen that people can't wiggle their toes anymore? Like, what did you tell me before we started this?
Oh, yeah.
Some
kind
people
of a
never
scary
be able to
thing
tell
to
how many
do.
fingers you have.
Yeah,
Well,
anesthesia is scary. People go under anesthesia and take it very lightly, but it is something that we're still learning a lot about.
Yeah. Yeah, I was a paramedic in a previous life, and I had OR rotations, so we have to go in, and I help with innovation for when they put people under for surgery, and every time it's still just how quickly they're just out. It's not just like, oh, I'm lulling off to sleep, count down from 20, at 20, and they're done. you're out. I'm like, wow.
Well, I know that in, the animal world, taking care of animals, that from, when I was a teenager volunteering with animals, they said, okay, if we put this animal under, this is a huge risk situation, whether it's a young animal or an old animal. Are you sure we need to put this animal out? And so for my whole life, I've known, okay, anesthesia is kind of scary. And then you have doctors talking to you like it's not a big deal because they don't want to freak out their patients. But really, it kind of is a big deal.
It kind of is. People take it very lightly these days, and anesthesia is a big deal. You're putting
Everyone
yourself
reacts
out.
differently to it.
Everybody
too.
reacts differently, and you don't know how you're going to react until after you've done it. This study, they're going to be doing future studies investigating different kinds of anesthetic agents, trying to characterize the activity patterns and the hub states, and so find out what are characteristic kind of rebooting patterns that occur in the brain, and find out how the brain jumps back and forth between them. And this kind of goes in line with another study out of MIT that found, looking at monkeys, that this was published in the June 12th issue of Neuron, that within the brain, as monkeys were trying to learn a task, they're given a basic task, they had to learn something about it. Areas of the brain that were involved with learning and memory and doing the task seemed to synchronize with each other as the task was being learned. So you'd have one area of the brain with its particular brain electrical activity state and another area of the brain with its own different activity state, and then they would connect up by synchronizing. And so researchers are thinking that when information is transferred between areas of the brain to take it maybe from the learning stage into more of the memories encoding stage and behavioral action stage, the brain areas have to synchronize to be able to allow for transfer of information between the different places in the brain. So it's kind of an interesting tie-in with all of this, so that different areas of the brain need to speak the same language, so to speak, to be able to talk to each other.
Here's what I would need to know, Kiki.
Yes.
Can I buy a skull cap that synchronizes my brain while I study something so that I remember it better?
I like this.
It could be. There have been studies looking at magnetic induction and electrical stimulation from externally electrically stimulating the brain that have led to higher scores on math or reading or something, where researchers have been, okay, well, let's learn math here, and now we're going to stimulate your brain, and now we're going to do this math thing again. And after electrical stimulation, people were more easily able to learn this stuff. So there is the possibility that by doing things like magnetically or electrically stimulating your brain in a particular way, that maybe you are inducing that synchronization. And so maybe you are inducing that humming activity that will get you to learn and remember better.
But then you can also taste the color 9 when you're done.
You can.
So in the future,
Exactly.
kids might literally be putting their study caps on.
Oh,
Yes.
no more
What do you
Adderall.
feel about
just-
Bzz, 9. 7.
I'm sorry, kids. I haven't been outside. Is it raining? Is it raining out? Okay, I'm sorry. I've been inside all day. I didn't notice. Okay, moving on.
All your moms are like, don't forget your ground. Bring your ground with you if it's raining.
Oh, I really don't like this at all.
What's not to like? What's not to like? This is wonderful. It improves your ability to learn something.
Yeah.
But wouldn't that handicap your brain's ability to do it on its own?
No. In fact, it may train your brain to synchronize more often.
Could be. Biofeedback of the electrical nature.
Studies need to be done.
More studies must be done.
Before I'm ready to put on a thinking cap, I need some studies.
It could stick your brain into constant resonance, and you would never forget anything else you see or hear for the remaining week of your life.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly, because you'd kill yourself, right?
Yeah, that would be way too much stimulation for me.
Right?
Remembering and
researchers-
recalling everything.
I
put
don't
my
want to
keys
remember
right
and
here.
recall
There's
everything.
some things I
No,
want
that was
to
yesterday.
unsee.
It was the day before. It was 2 days. I remember all the times I put keys everywhere. Ah!
Yep.
Yeah, the researchers, one of the most interesting quotes that they come up with, it's kind of a philosophical quote statement, and also, interesting as to how the brain works. If you can change your thoughts from moment to moment, you can't be doing it by constantly making new connections and breaking them apart in your brain. Plasticity doesn't happen on that kind of time scale. There's got to be some way of dynamically establishing circuits to correspond to the thoughts we're having in this moment. And then if we change our minds a moment later, those circuits break apart somehow. We think synchronized brain waves may be the way that the brain does it. Yes. Very fascinating. Yeah. Yeah, so anyway, I got that with brains and stuff. Justin, what do you have? This is This Week in Science.
Oh, Neanderthals. The
Sweet.
origins of Neanderthals in this case. This is research in Spain on a cave from the site Cima de los Huesos, which in Spanish is Pit of the Bones. Pit of the Bones, a cave with lots and lots of skulls and skeleton fragments. But not just any skull and skeleton fragments. These are somewhere in the neighborhood of 400,000 years old. And they're an interesting mix of Neanderthal and what all hominin came before. Right? So this is one of the missing links. There's many missing links, but this is one of them. Finding good evidence of pre-Neanderthal evolution. Mostly because the stuff that we found thus far are fragments of skulls. A tooth here, part of a jawbone over there. This is apparently 17 pretty much complete skulls that belong to a single population of hominin species. Some of these they've been studying for a little while, and it's helping to update Neanderthal evolution because there's morphology here that is classic Neanderthal and morphology that is not Neanderthal at all. One of the interesting things, though, that they're finding with the Neanderthals, a very Neanderthal-esque feature, is greater wear on the incisors. And the idea is possibly that our Neanderthal ancestors, in some cases, most cases, many cases, used their mouth as a third hand. Isn't that...
I do that sometimes.
Occasionally it comes up.
I know exactly, Scott. It's like,
I have no idea what you're
oh.
talking about at all. Yeah.
Have you guys ever sailed? Gone
Yeah.
sailing, small boat sailing. Every once in a while, you just don't have enough hands, and you gotta take the main sheet, just put it right between your teeth, and
No, you didn't.
I have.
Oh my gosh. If that's a big sail, yank your teeth out.
And someday, somebody will be studying my skull from a pit of bones, and will say, it looks as though they use their mouth as a third hand.
Kiki, why
I
are you
did.
in a pit of bones?
I don't know.
What are you planning?
TWIS road trip gone really...
Yeah,
the true
Kiki, you'll
twist
just be in a
again.
pit of
Yeah.
bones. Why are you in a mass grave?
In the Neanderthal's defense, this may have been before the invention of pockets. So you
Yeah.
needed somewhere to carry
Right.
your wallet.
True.
Oh my God. Sorry.
It's when the singularity
like-
happens, and so then the humans rise up against us that went cyborg, and the big battle.
Okay.
That's what's happening.
All right.
So this is a really interesting group of skulls that
Yeah.
it suggests that there's a little bit more to Neanderthals than what we have typically thought.
That, but it's showing because this population, they've got generations upon generations in one area in this population, lots of skulls to study. They're also finding that the evolution took place pretty rapidly from, I suppose it would be Homo erectus, technically, that left Africa like 500,000 years ago into the sort of Eurasia region. And they're already seeing morphology that's very Neanderthal and sort of a combo, a mix of earlier and more standardized Neanderthal within 100,000 years or so. So it's the surprising part is how quickly Neanderthal has evolved itself into Neanderthal.
So the teeth were worn, but were they also deep-rooted? Did it say?
No, it says that no, it doesn't give me the details here on that.
Okay.
But this should be in, I think it's published in Science magazine as of today or yesterday.
So, and this is just something they found in this group of skulls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is the first one where they've seen
Particular.
a in-betweener.
this particular group of Neanderthals in this space and this time had the worn incisors.
Well, no, they've seen that in other Neanderthals. That's
They
more
have
of a
seen that
classic,
pretty much across the board.
Yeah, that's more classic Neanderthal. But this is the earliest good population of Neanderthals that they found in that 400,000 year ago time frame. They found a lot of the more current Neanderthal, 20,000, 30,000 years, 40,000 years ago. But this is 400,000 years ago. This is basically the some of the earliest Neanderthals that we can look at and say, aha, that's Neanderthal. Because the idea is the hominins that left Africa would have been about 500,000 years ago is when that group split off from the group that would later become us. So that's our sort of splitting off point before regrouping with Neanderthal in more recent history.
Cool. Interesting. Nice group of skulls.
But they did it very quickly. They apparently
rapid evolution.
Yeah, very rapid changes taking place.
Yeah, and for future note for all of us, when you leave groups of skulls and skeletons together in one place, it does help out future archaeologists. Just to note. This is This Week in Science. Do you guys know what time it is? I do. It's time for Blair's Animal Corner.
She loves our creatures, great and small. Biped, millipede, no pet at all. Wanna hear about animals? She's your girl. Except for giant pandas and squirrels.
Blair's
Animal Corner.
Crabs!
Okay.
And I'm out. See you guys later.
Crabs aren't hard of herring. Oh,
Are you being punny?
I am. So crabs can hear. It's pretty crazy. Yeah. So, the Northeastern University, the professor Randall Hughes, looked at crabs to see the marine crabs to see if they recognized sounds, because the ocean, there's a lot of sound going on under there. We might not be aware of it, but fish can be really loud. And so they wanted to see if crabs responded to the sound of their predators. And so they looked at these crabs. They put them into little kind of marine environments. They were controlled in a lab, but they looked just like their natural environment. And those are called mesocosms. So they're experimental environments designed to mimic the natural world. And they put their food in the form of juvenile clams in the tank, and then they put these little crabbies in there, the mud crabs, and then they put a microphone into the tank and transmitted the sounds of oyster toadfish, hardhead catfish, and black drumfish. And they didn't feed as much when they heard predator sounds. But then they also found that they responded more to some than others. They had the most pronounced effect from the catfish and the black drumfish. And they think that's because the oyster toadfish are always in a shared environment with the crabs, so it's kind of like white noise. But the catfish and the black drumfish follow the tide. So sometimes they're around and sometimes they're not. So they're desensitized to the toadfish, but the other two they're really on the lookout for. So they were definitely responding to this sound coming out of this speaker in their mesocosm. But they wanted to figure out how that worked. So they wanted to see how their ability to hear worked, because they don't have an ear. They don't have any of the ear bones. They don't have an eardrum. So how's this happening? So the most likely way that they were hearing it was the statocyst at the base of the mud crab's antennae. And they're tiny sacs. They have a mineral mass in them and thousands of hairs. and then the hairs kind of move in response to particular changes, and that changes the position of the mass, and that sends nerve impulses. So they put an electrode, they implanted electrodes into this staticist and then kind of put different stimuli through the electrodes. And they totally responded to it. So it really looks like the particle acceleration from sound waves is moving this staticist that's telling the crab that they're hearing this thing and they're responding to it. So they're not hearing exactly like we hear, but they definitely are responding to sound, and they can change their behavior on that, which is pretty
So it's
insane.
like seeing but being colorblind.
No, it's not like that because I have eyeballs. Not quite analogous, but I understand what you're trying to say. It's more like how a sea star can tell the difference between light and dark, but they don't have eyeballs.
They don't have
That's
eyes.
more what it's like.
Mm-hmm.
Eye spots, right? So, yeah, crabs are in the know when it comes to sounds.
They have
So it's
vibratory
more like a
structures
colorblind
that.
person with that like polka dotty test,
What?
Huh, what now?
where they can
No.
tell there's polka dots, but they can't see that there's like a number 3 or something in there.
No, now you're getting back to the color blindness. It's not the same.
So it makes me wonder: do they like the band Fish, or just Yellow Submarine? Is that their jam?
It's a good question.
Do they have a preference for nautical themes?
Right.
Yeah, I'm thinking they mostly just don't want the fish that are going to eat them around.
That's a good song, though.
I'm thinking that's pretty much what they're focusing on.
I'm not dying tonight.
Mm-hmm. Ho ho ho! The
Yes.
fishies.
Now, close relative to the crab, the crayfish, or crawfish, depending on where you're from, may show anxiety and stress.
How does an animal like that show anxiety and stress?
I'm so glad you asked, Kiki.
Good.
So, in a recent paper published in Science, the team from France conducted experiments submitting crayfish to what they considered would be stressful conditions, and they found changes in behavior and changes in certain hormones. So what they did is they subjected crayfish to mild electric shocks. I know it always comes down to the electric shocks. Very sad.
Yeah,
And then
whether you're learning math or
Right.
They can remember everything.
yeah.
yeah.
They're
And
trying to
then
make super crawfish, but
yes, it didn't quite work out that way. They just stressed them out. So they subjected them to electrical shocks. And they placed them into a specially designed water tank, which was shaped like an X. 2 wings were well lit and 2 wings were dark. And they found that the stressed crayfish, quote unquote, the one who was shocked, hung out in the dark wings and did not go into the well-lit wings. They avoided the well-lit wings, indicating protective or defensive behavior. The unstressed crawfish put in the tank, they didn't go straight into the lighted area, but they always eventually explored it. So the stressed out ones avoided it altogether, but the ones that didn't get the electrical shock went in there. So then they that was originally the behavioral thing that they were saying, okay, it looks like this animal is stressed out because they're acting defensive and kind of cagey. No pun intended. In the other part of the experiment, they examined the stressed out crayfish, the shocked ones, and they found elevated levels of serotonin, which is the same neurotransmitter that they find elevated in humans when they're stressed. They also found that they could find the same behavior that they saw in the X-shaped tank by injecting the crawfish with serotonin instead of shocking them. So those 2 things were linked. Here's the even more crazy part. They found that they could calm the crayfish down by injecting them with chlordiazepazide which is a drug used to treat anxiety in humans. And after they were treated with that, they went into the well-lit parts of the tanks.
Wow.
So the researchers stress, and this is important to understand, this does not indicate crayfish have anxiety. We don't know that. What we know is that they have a similar chemical and behavioral mechanism behind stressors.
Yes, behind stressors, and also that drugs like the antidepressant work on a similar system. Yeah. Serotonin-based system.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. People like to think of serotonin as the happy neurotransmitter.
Right. Yeah.
But really, like, it's kind of happy, but then it also can lead to a lot of anxiety because it stimulates stuff and gets your neurons all kind of amped up and over happy sometimes, and so it can really lead to, that's why it leads to anxiety.
Which we could go into all sorts of interesting conversations related to that. Pretty funny. So the crabs can hear, the crawfish can experience stress. But now here's just kind of a cool factoid thing that I found that's really awesome. One of my favorite types of animals is the frog that some TWIS watchers may have seen when I turn off my camera. It's not there today, but the frog is a horned frog, a Chaco horned frog. And these frogs are pretty large, and they have a huge mouth. And this huge mouth they use sometimes to eat birds, mice, lizards. They eat huge things. They can eat things 3 times their own body weight. Not all of it at once, but they can. So snakes, lizards, crabs, rodents, all that kind of stuff they eat. And this South American frog, they did some tests with it to understand its stickiness, because that's really the stickiness and the pull force is what allows them to eat these giant things. And they found that the pull force is up to 3 times their own body weight, which is so much. And this is the best part, is the way they did the experiment, which obviously listeners of the show and watchers of the show know. I am always fascinated with how scientists engineer a way to test these things about their animals. So what they did is they put these horned frogs in front of a glass panel, put some delicious food behind the glass panel, and the glass panel was pressure sensitive. It was on a pressure gauge.
Perfect.
So then so Kiki, you talk so everyone can see the video.
Right. So I don't know if the video is going to show, but it's pressure sensitive, and then when the frog goes after the prey, they touch the glass panel. Blah-lump, blah-lump, blah-lump. Oh my God.
Look at that
Big
enormous
mouth.
tongue.
Big tongue, big sticky tongue.
Yeah. So they would flop out this giant tongue, and it would hit the temperature gauged glass panel, and they could measure it. So
it makes me think, it can grab things 3 times its mass, but what's keeping it on the ground? Could you imagine it going after a bird and flying away? Just be like, just hold it down.
That's what I was picturing. Like, how does that work?
I'm just hitching a ride, dude. See you later.
Oh my goodness. That's funny. Yeah, that's a good question. I hadn't really thought of it. I'm pretty sure a bird couldn't carry the toad, though. The toad is pretty heavy.
And the toad might grab the ground, and they do have,
well, and they have a pretty good bite force on them, too.
Yeah.
But so what's really crazy, too, is so it's strong enough for them to pull this 3 times their own body weight, but it's also super sticky. But the stickiness doesn't come from a mucus.
I love that.
Well, most mucus is the opposite of sticky.
Not necessarily. No.
Mucus can be very sticky in nature.
Mucus?
Yes.
That's the quote of the show, right?
Gooey, sticky mucus.
Nature can be sticky.
So, but what they actually found was that it was the surface texture of the tongue and the quality of the underlying tissues. So
like gecko tongue?
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
Wow.
So that's most of the adhesive strength of the tongue.
Nice.
Yeah. So they said that it can best be compared to pressure-sensitive adhesives that are common in technical use as adhesives, tapes, or labels. But so, that's just another way we found that in nature. But those choco-horned frogs, if you haven't seen one, you should look it up. I think they're adorable.
You are a strange girl. All right. Tell me your last story about spiders.
That's a 2-sentence one. That's just a fun little thing that I knew everyone would enjoy. Guess what? Spiders eat fish.
I know.
They have found fish-eating spiders around the world. They've found 6
literally
different...
around the world? Is there this big species of spiders I've not heard about?
It's a bunch of different species.
They're everywhere.
They found, I'm trying to find the exact verbiage, but they found 6 different families of spiders that eat fish in the wild around the world, and then they've had another 3 do it in a lab.
So now, wait a second. Okay, how does a spider get a fish out of water to eat it?
Only flying fish.
Does it just...
Yes.
Or is it an underwater spider?
They can swim, dive, and walk on the water surface.
Nowhere is
You're welcome. They also have powerful neurotoxins and enzymes, which allow them to kill these fish that are often much larger than the spider itself.
Yeah, one thing that I've seen spiders do that's really interesting is the spiders will, I think it's in Microcosm, the movie from several years back. There's an image of a spider that takes an air bubble, creates an air bubble from the surface, and brings it down underneath the water. It goes outside of the air bubble and catches its prey, pulls it into the air bubble where it proceeds to wrap it up in its web.
What?
Yeah, so right here you can see a picture of a spider grabbing onto a fish, and it is the oddest thing I have seen in a long time, which, as everyone knows, is saying something. That's definitely an odd sight to see, is a spider grabbing a fish.
Yay! Yay!
We just
for
found out
fish-eating spiders.
Yeah, so
they're everywhere.
Fish, they're in all sorts of trouble.
Yeah, this just reminds me, it's completely off topic, but the once upon a time I won one of those fish at a fair, so I had to take it home. And I had it in there, and then I came home one day, and it was dead, and attached to it, and I pictured there was some sort of death knell sort of activity that took place while I was gone. It was an earwig, with the the little thing with the pinchers, and it was clutching the fish, and they were both dead, floating on the top.
My goodness.
Something went wrong there.
I just wanted a hug.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he was diving in, trying to save the fish from drowning.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What an earwig thinks about anything.
I'm sure that's what that spider was doing too. Let me help you out of there, buddy. Do you need mouth to mouth?
Hold the line.
And on that note, everyone, I think it's time for us to take a short break. Stay tuned. This Week in Science, we'll be back with Scott Lewis telling us a little bit about a lot of space. Stay tuned. Audible.com is the leading provider of audiobooks with over 150,000 titles in a variety of genres in their library. TWIS has found many science-based books in the Audible library, and we are sure that you will be able to as well. If that's what you want, any other book will work as well. You'll get a free one if you just start using their service today. That's right. Start a free trial today. Get one free audiobook download. I said free. It's a free book. And you get to support TWIS at the same time. It's win-win for everyone. All you have to do is sign up at audiblepodcast.com/TWIS. It's audiblepodcast.com/TWIS. Sign up, free book, win for everybody. TWIS also has merchandise that you might enjoy. Head on over to twis.org to buy some of our swag. We've got all sorts of stuff: bags, buttons, hats, things, stamps, I think. Great stuff. We have a link on our website that goes directly to our Zazzle store. So go to twis.org, go to the Zazzle store link in the main header bar, and buy our stuff. It's awesome. TWIS is supported by listeners like you completely. Your donations pay for our hosting, bandwidth, contractors we need to hire, fun things we try to do every once in a while for the show, and we appreciate any amount that you are able to give, $2 to $200, whatever you can give, we really appreciate. We currently accept donations in a couple of ways. We have PayPal buttons all over our website, twis.org. Look for the PayPal buttons. It's easy. PayPal. You have a PayPal account? Donate. Very simple and easy. Secondly, we've started a Patreon account. So Patreon, patreon.com/thisweekinscience. Patreon is kind of like Kickstarter, but for artists and media producers, podcasts like us. And what you do is you support us per episode. At the end of a month, say we've done 4 episodes, 1 per week, you support us $2 an episode. That's $8 for the entire month that you'll be charged. And depending on the level that you're supporting at, you'll get a gift. We have gifts to give you. We really do. Whichever your preference. We appreciate it so much. Go to the website, listen to the most recent show, scroll on down for the comments, go to the PayPal buttons, make a donation, or try patreon.com/thisweekinscience. And if you can't afford a donation, we can always use your help in a multitude of ways, finding ways to reach out and get new listeners, get new viewers on YouTube. We're always trying to reach out and get science into the minds of other people. That's what we like to do, right? Let's spur some inquiry. Use your sites, your social networks for good and for science. We really appreciate your support. We could not do this without you. Oops, let me see if I can hit the right button. And we are back with more This Week in Science, and we are joined by Scott Lewis, who is the host of Space Fan News, which you can find over on YouTube, Space Fan News. You can also find it in Google+. He's an astronomer and a science communicator, presenter of Space Fan News stuff. He's the creator of Know the Cosmos, co-host of Hubble Hangouts with Tony Darnell and the Hubble Space Telescope, which he just did today, so I'm sure he's got some good new conversations he can tell us about, and also the co-host of the Virtual Star Party with Fraser Kane from Universe Today. Scott, thanks for joining us.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
You are welcome. So, what's the dirt on Hubble today? What's going on?
The dirt on Hubble, honestly, I think all the internet kind of knows. It really blew up after it was announced. So we were discussing today with the Hubble scientists involved the new ultra deep field that was released with the added ultraviolet light to the spectrum. So Hubble has been observing for a long time, almost 25 years now. It's crazy to think about, but almost 25 years Hubble's been up there. And we've had this amazing deep field, the ultra deep field, that Hubble just looked up at a patch of nothingness and came out thousands upon thousands of galaxies. And it's been in the near infrared and optical light. Well, about 2 weeks ago, there was a big release on the ultraviolet being added to it. So there was 841 orbits of Hubble time, which are 90 minutes each, was put together to make this beautiful, beautiful image. I mean, I've got so many images of it. I will screen share once it pops up. Here we go.
Screen share the pretty things.
I will screen share the pretty things. So here it is, right here. So this is on HubbleSite.org. And
Ooh.
It's hard to see here comparing to the other one, but all this blueness is added on with the ultraviolet. So this is really important because we get to see the hotter, more massive stars forming at the early stages of the universe.
So just to interrupt for a sec, for a second I lost. There it is. There, it's back again. For a second I saw you trying to kiss a chicken.
I was. That's Camilla.
Camilla! I know
I'll let you talk so
Camilla.
I can see the image again. But this is the compilation shot, right?
Here, right here. There you go.
Here's the chicken.
Yeah.
But the deep space
Massive.
where you put it there, that's a compilation of a bunch of the galaxies sort of melded together, right?
So this is actually the ultra deep field from the infrared all the way through optical into ultraviolet. And 841 orbits of 90 minutes exposures were taken to make this. And it's just amazing. So imagine having your camera and taking 841 90-minute exposures.
And then putting them
Of
on
the
top
same-
of each other.
Yeah, right, of the same thing, and just
Yeah.
stacking them up together. And that's what this is.
And so what we see, you can see there are different kinds of, for the podcast listeners out there who maybe can't see the colors, if you haven't seen this image, you can see the spiral galaxies, you can see different, the shapes of different galaxies out there, and there are different colors. There are golds, there are blues, there are reds, there are white color, there's even one bright spot in the right side of the image that just looks as though it's a lens flare.
Right.
Now there's two of those, and I was wondering about that. Are those galaxies, or is that some star that got caught up in the mix?
Those are going to be stars, right? So it's looking through, and you're going to see some things that are going to be really faint to us, but the majority, if not, I want to say it's like 99.8%. I think that's the number. The vast majority of everything in here are completely different galaxies. There are galaxies outside of our own that are in that. And this goes all the way back to around 5 to 10 billion years ago. The further back you look, the further back in time this is.
And so what you're saying, this new edition, the new edition of this, the infrared, is
we added ultraviolet.
Ultraviolet. So the new edition of the ultraviolet is this new part of the spectrum that is older, further shows hotter,
it shows
further
hotter
away
stars at those older points.
Yeah.
So we can study more massive stars, because the more massive stars tend to be hotter and emit more in the blues and the purples and the ultraviolets and the higher energy levels, whereas the cooler stars are redder. Because we think red hot on Earth, but it's really not that way when you get to the EM spectrum. When you start getting into the blues and the purples, that's when things are really hot.
Yeah, we say red hot because that's what we see. When things like a piece of metal gets red hot or even goes up to white hot, then you're like, that's really hot.
Right.
But we don't see beyond that, which is the even hotter part of the spectrum. In terms of the size of these things, that's something that's always been interesting to me, is that the massive stars, the big giant ones, were formed first a long time ago, and that we don't really have as many of them in our newer part of the universe.
Right, because it was mainly just hydrogen, a little bit of helium at that time. They just all coalesced, and we are the result of many generations of stellar deaths, because they're supermassive, which means they're also very short-lived because they're really hot, and they explode and send their piles of bones that were in mass graves out into the rest of space, and which eventually will allow these stellar nebulae to come back in again, now with a little bit heavier elements because of nuclear synthesis. So actually in that explosion of supernova, it allows for heavier elements to be created just from the energy being released, and we have things like humans now, because we are made of heavier elements than what is allowed to go on in stars. Up to lead.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness for stars exploding.
Yay!
Yay!
Not only are they big, exciting things, but they allow for peoples to
They
be
did.
here.
Yeah. Awesome.
But it's like one of my favorite like things ever. It really, really inspired me anyway, and just being able to release this in an even wider band of light. I put out a video once we released it, and really stuck with me. It's like adding another language to the Rosetta Stone. We're able to understand what was going on at that time in galactic evolution and the evolution of our universe, because now we're able to study those galaxies in those wavelengths. We've never had that before, so I love it. It makes me happy.
No, it's just great. I mean, it is. It's a new language. It's opening a new chapter. It's being able to see. It's having sight where we had no sight before,
Right.
and that allows all sorts of discoveries to take place. Today I spent some time waiting for a mountaintop to be exploded for the European extremely extra large telescope that's going to be built in about 10 years' time. They were blasting off the top of a mountain in the Atacama Desert in Chile. Atacama Desert in Chile, which will be the foundation for where the telescope will be located. It was a little bit lackluster.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be a lot bigger of an explosion. I was disappointed.
It looked cool in the movies, but think of the insurance. I mean,
Yeah.
You're like, oh, we're going to be throwing debris everywhere for science, which is awesome. I mean, it really is. But yeah, when they did one about a year and a half ago, and yeah, I was all excited. I'm like, I'm going to see explosions for a telescope. This is going to be great. And it was just like, oh, okay.
Just
Well, I'm going to go back to Twitter now.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, time for I can get more excitement off of Twitter. That's saying something. But the extremely large telescope is supposed to be a better telescope from here down on Earth, even with the atmosphere in the way, than Hubble when it comes online, which I think is going to be interesting. And I'm just wondering, is Hubble, do we know, is Hubble planned for 10, 20 years? We've fixed stuff. Are we going to downgrade it at some point? Are we just...
It will have a controlled re-entry eventually.
Yeah.
So it will come back to Earth at some point. I hope not for a long while. I hope that we're able to continue to use it, because it's still an amazing thing. We're finding new ways of using Hubble. One of the most recent is frontier fields, where we're using dark matter from extremely massive galaxy clusters as gravitational lenses to look further back with Hubble. Something it was never, ever intended to do. Never had the capabilities of doing, but since the service missions were put in there, we're able to see in infrared now, and the light coming through and the way that the space-time is bending because of all this dark matter, it's working as a lens, and it's achromatic, so it doesn't affect the light coming through. It just allows us to look further back because of it. So we're finding new ways of using this 25-year-old telescope all the time, and I love it. I love the fact of what Frontier Fields is doing. We just had a live show with them a week ago with that team, just getting an update on it. And it's awesome. We're using dark matter as an extra lens for a space telescope. I mean, this is really the future. Just using these words in a sentence and not finding it in a bad sci-fi novel.
Right.
This is amazing.
No, this is reality. Yeah.
Right.
So what's going on with Gaia? What is Gaia?
Gaia is my favorite recently launched spacecraft. Its mission is to observe and map 1 billion stars in our local area. So I mean, it's just has this awesome job of going through and finding out what's going on around us. So it's had a couple speed bumps along the way. First of all, it's supposed to be a magnitude 18, but it's a magnitude 21, so it's not easy to see. So when we're talking about magnitudes, the higher the number, the fainter the object is. So it's supposed to be a magnitude 18 for the 1 meter telescope to observe it. but it's not able to. It's actually a lot fainter, so they've had to use a 2.0 meter, 2.6 meter, and some radio measurements as well. So they've been able to adapt, but that took some time away to be able to pinpoint where this is and making sure it's where it's supposed to be. The biggest thing, though, right now is there was a lot of water ice on the mirror and in the thermal tent of Gaia. So they planned for that to be there, originally. They knew that there was going to be some water escaping our planet, going along with it on a little ride out to space. But there's a lot more than was anticipated. So they had to do a decontamination, which is actually they had heating elements put onto the mirrors themselves. They planned for this to happen, and they run a decon where they slowly heat it up and allow for it to sublimate off into space, because there is no liquid water on a spacecraft. There's no atmosphere. So it left, and then they had to slowly let it cool back down because they don't want to break the mirrors or any of the instruments, so they have to do it very gradually. And though that was a success, they're getting some diffraction of light. So they're seeing some light from the thermal tent, most likely from the sun, they believe, coming through on some of this water ice crystals. What they believe is what it is right now. So they've been doing some experiments, some models to find out what's going on. What this stray light does is it takes those faint stars that it's trying to observe and it adds more noise, and it confuses the detector, so it isn't able to differentiate between faint stars and the stray light.
Yeah, look, we found rainbows in space.
Right.
That's not a good thing.
Is that a unicorn? No.
Refraction.
Darn you, water building block of life! What are you doing?
Like, we love you, but why you make my science so hard?
That's
So
my
needs to get
favorite
out there.
quote tonight.
Yeah, right. Scrape the ice off like it's a windshield.
Right. We should have just done that. I mean, without scraping the mirror off. But
Right.
so it's not doomed though. It's the majority. It's taking its measurement of accuracy to around 6 to 8% instead of 4 for the super faint stars. But the brightest stars that it's been able to observe and is fine to observe is still at 0.4% measurement of error. So it's still within its nominal ranges. Is just affecting those really faint stars. So the plans right now are to continue with its main science mission. So it's ramping up for that to see how everything's going. But I'm super excited to see what Gaia gives us, because we have a 3D map of our area of the galaxy. How awesome is that? I want a 3D map like in a video game. Again, just all the sci-fi stuff. Like, yeah, let's go over here. Let me get my 3D map of the galaxy and pinpoint where these other stars are. That's just awesome.
As long as the game isn't too realistic. Okay. In 500 years,
Right.
at light speed travel, you'll arrive at your destination.
You're going to cryostasis. Would you like to save? We recommend you save.
It's good. What's good to know
It's
that
actually a lesson in evolution, because you'll see all your generations later, based on the crew members you selected. This is what you wind up with at the end of the journey.
that would be a pretty cool game, though. Using the actual 3D map of our local galaxy, and then being able to actually play a game with. Load that map into a game engine. Like,
you know what?
awesome.
What's wild too is, I mean,
I love it.
The super real physics, but kids would remember the nearest star, right?
Like
the
right
nearest
now, it's
couple
like,
of
wow,
stars,
who's gonna
right?
remember?
The nearest dozen or so, because I conquered that one with my fleet of an interceptor, whatevers, right? Like,
And we have to play it.
every
We
star.
have to play it on Oculus Rift. That's
Yes.
what we have to
Oh
play.
man. So you can learn about astrocartography while getting nauseous at the same time. I totally want to. I'm really jealous. I've got some friends that are working with Oculus Rift, and I really want to. Have any of you guys played with
I've
that?
gotten to play with it, yes, and it
How is
is. It's really, really amazing. I was skeptical, but then after playing with it, I was totally won over.
Is
It's
it that
really
good?
interesting. Yeah.
Okay. It's not like Virtual
they're
Boy, right?
No, they're developing stuff that's very interesting, and the potential for what it will do as they develop the technology even further is going to be amazing.
I think I use a lot of tools like I use Stellarium or Worldwide Telescope, and I could only imagine using Worldwide Telescope, which is it's a Microsoft research app, and it's amazing. It's free. You guys all download it. It's awesome. But it gives you can go on these space tours where it's already choreographed, and you're able to go along and learn about these amazing phenomena out there. And I could imagine having a 3D one in Oculus Rift. Just
the first game or the first interactive experience that I got to experience in Oculus Rift was of our solar system, and so it's you're in the suit of an astronaut, and so as you look down, you see astronaut boots, and you see, astronaut your ship controls, and then you can turn around and see the moon behind you, and you look down at the Earth, and then you look up, and you can zoom in on and visit all of the planets and the sun, and it's really neat. You get up close, and then you can actually do little eye movements and head movements to interact with things like Saturn's rings and be able to learn things about the rings and the moons, and
I love it.
It was a very, very neat experience. I can see it becoming something that's
my green eyes are greener. I'm very jealous. That sounds wonderful.
It's very cool. All right, Rosetta. That's the other cool thing that's going on right now. Right?
Everything's
Burning.
cool.
Afterburns.
Everything's cool. That's a big update. No, they had a burn 136 minutes long, and what I love about the terminology they do with these burns. So a burn is their propulsion, and they're trying to change their trajectory, and they call it delta V or DV, so they actually write it out delta V or DV, but when we're writing it out in physics terms, the symbol delta means change in, and V is velocity. So that's actually what they're doing, is a change in velocity, and when they're just doing it over a period of time. So they're accelerating their spacecraft, whether it be forward or wherever, because it's a vector, so it's your magnitude and direction. And so they did it for 136 minutes, and everything went fine. There was a release actually earlier today, though, that they processed an image that was taken, I think, on the 4th of June from the scientific camera there, and the comet is not really emitting much of a tail anymore. So we're trying to figure out what's going on with that. So it's kind of lost its glimmer. Its tail's kind of gone meh instead of shining and being fabulous for us, which I think all comets should be fabulous when we go and observe it up close.
Instead of being shining and fabulous with a wonderful tail, now it is just a bright dot in the sky.
Right. It's like, meh. Oh, I heard you flew all this way to see me? Yeah, thanks.
Whatever.
It's cool.
So is the plan for Rosetta that it is going to go through the tail? Is it going to just go near the comet, look at it, take pictures?
It's going to be doing all sorts of observations for it. And we were all super thrilled that it woke up, in the first place, because there was that big...
That's the one hurdle, the first hurdle.
We didn't know. We had to power it down. You don't know if it's actually going to do anything. And so it woke up, and it's getting closer, and it'll be doing a whole lot of observations there with... Actually, I'm going to pull up all their scientific instruments on there because it's able to do a whole lot, and it's amazing. And I love all their animations. If you guys go to ESA.int, you can look at all their amazing visualizations. I love ESA's visualization team. I use them a lot for my videos. But you're able to get a view of what they're doing and all the scientific instruments on there as it's going to be orbiting it. Yeah, there you go, up on the screen there. But let me see here, because I've been so focused on Gaia, I have not gone over Rosetta too much. Here we go, the mission navigator.
Yeah, they're doing a great job of making the information available to the public over at the European Space Agency related to Rosetta. I think they're doing a great job.
And their social media campaigns have been fantastic. I love their social media campaigns when they're like, hey, everyone, put your YouTube up and tell Rosetta to wake up. I'm like, that's awesome. I love it when they anthropomorphize spacecraft and really bring people in to make it love it. And yeah, it's been wonderful. And they still have, I want to say, 4 more burns to do, 4 or 5 more burns to correct it, so to slow it down for when it does get to the comet. So this is, I think, the 3rd that it's done, and we still have more to do, but this most recent one went through fine, and it is safe. It did not explode, but the comet's looking a little meh, and that makes me sad.
But there are other things in space right now that make you happy.
Yes, there is. Let's see, New Horizons will be arriving to Pluto, which is a big topic of controversy. But I will not go on to that because...
Why is it controversial?
No, Pluto, just in general.
Pluto.
Well, exactly, but let's see, Neil Tyson was getting some hate mail for him facilitating its demotion. I'm like, really, guys? It hasn't been a planet for a long time, and it's not going to be. But New Horizons, though it launched to the planet Pluto, has then since been demoted. We've discovered 4 more moons of it, and it will arrive in July of 2015. And right now, Hubble is actually observing areas beyond Pluto for Kuiper Belt objects. So because it's a flyby mission, New Horizons is, so it's a flyby. It's not going to orbit like Cassini does, so it's going to keep going. And so right now, Hubble is observing the area beyond Pluto, or where Pluto's going to be for that trajectory path. So what we're actually doing with it is...
Find out if New Horizons is going to run into anything else.
Right. Or if we can course correct, find it to make it go somewhere.
Right.
So I love the way that they're observing with it, though, is they're making Hubble look in that area of space that they believe that the Kuiper Belt is moving. So all the stars are moving like a star trail does, and they're looking for things that aren't moving. So they're looking for dots out there that are not moving, so they can pinpoint onto that, as opposed to the stars that are flying throughout it. So there's going to be a lot of analysis going on there to hopefully find something, because what better would it be to have New Horizons not only get up close and personal with Pluto, which we've never done before, but then also visit a Kuiper Belt object. I think that would be wonderful. And find out more about our solar system. We don't know that much about what's out there, besides that it's cold and kind of dark.
It just gets colder and darker the further you go.
And the screaming, you really can't hear it out there. No one screams in space anyways, but you really can't hear it out in the Kuiper Belt. Or the Oort cloud, just forget about it. But Kuiper Belt,
Right. But while you're going out there, or at least while you... What?
Chat room's talking about whether or not Pluto should have been a planet. Real quick, it's a simple matter of trademark law. Disney owns the trademark to the name Pluto, and it is not allowed to be used for anything else. So
right.
That's why that really happened.
I'm glad they're really not having a big debate on Pluto being a planet or not. It is not a planet, but that's not a bad thing. Pluto not being a planet is not a bad thing.
I like calling things Kuiper Belt objects, or as Twit Refugee called it, a captured Kuiper Belt object, or we call them Plutoid bodies. That's one of my favorite terms.
Plutoid bodies, yeah.
Yes.
See, now its name is a whole
bodies.
type of thing instead of just one thing.
Exactly.
And it has brothers and sisters out there. It was all alone, kind of weird in the outskirts. It has a weird orbit, and it's kind of lumpy. Well, now we've grouped together and has friends.
I just love that it's a measurement of how old you are now. Like, I'll say to teenagers, I'll go, I remember when Pluto was a planet.
Right.
There are people alive now that...
I had to change my mnemonic to learn these. What is going on?
Oh
But
my gosh.
yeah, there was a big hubbub about that. Actually, Ellen Stern called Tyson out to have a big debate. I'm like, no, let's stop having debates on things that have been settled for a long time, please. There's no reason to have it. Though it gets people excited about space and science.
It does.
And that's
the
awesome.
thing.
I like it.
It's like the reason like people don't want to see Hubble go away, because Hubble has brought us so much joy and enrichment over the years. And, you know, as we have had servicing missions, it's enabled us to even have more. And so we have this relationship with this telescope in space. And it's same thing with Pluto. We became attached to it as one of our planets in our solar system, and it became, you know, our territory, our home ground. And if all of a sudden for someone to say it's not a planet, it's as if they're taking it away from,
right,
you know, this roster of things that we call ours. But it's not. It's still there. And it's just got, like you said, more friends.
It's more friends.
More friends.
It's all good. Pluto's got company now. It's partying out there.
As the show gets later, we also need to take a moment to talk about coffee in space.
Coffee in space. Because why not? Of all the things we need to do in space, actually, I agree with this wholeheartedly. The Italian Space Agency is actually, I mean, of course, with Espresso, of course it's the Italian Space Agency. They're working with Lavazza, which, and also, what is the other name that I couldn't pronounce, and I hope I didn't botch it in my video. But they're working to make the ISS Espresso, which is an amazing name anyway.
ISS Espresso. That's nice.
Yeah. So they're building an espresso machine to go to space. So
you can use your recycled fluids in there. It's perfect.
Yes, exactly. So here's a picture of it. Here's a prototype of what they have, and I just think it's amazing. I know that they have some coffee and kind of blah, but having fresh coffee, that's how I start my day. I couldn't imagine doing science all day long without fresh coffee.
And it is one of the things I've heard Commander Hatfield speak, and it was one of the things that he said was really one of the downsides of being in space, having a nice hot cup of coffee. You can't do it.
Right.
You cannot have a nice hot cup of coffee in space.
You have and you're still getting pouches. It's going to be a pouch. You can
have a pouch and you can stick your straw in it, but it's not the same, and it's also not going to be, you know, made in a drip coffee maker and be fresh, and you're not going to get that smell. But now,
I love the R&D. They're having physicists and fluid dynamicists. They're doing this hard science to find how to make coffee in space. And I think that is whoever is doing that research, my hat is off to you, sir. That is fantastic use of your degree. And I'm not being sarcastic. That is fantastic. Why wouldn't you learn?
I designed the espresso machine on the space station.
Right?
Yeah, that would be an awesome thing. Just
exactly.
At a cocktail party. What are you up to these days? Oh, I just designed the espresso machine for the space station.
Yeah, I make sure that astronauts can have coffee in the morning.
I think it is the second most important thing on the International Space Station, second to the toilet.
The toilet? Yeah.
The toilet. Right.
Which, those are probably connected. The reference that I was making before is,
I don't even want to know about that.
Reverse osmosis, let's get that. Yeah.
So
you gotta make the espresso out of something.
There's the next phase of this product. I have the espresso maker they used in space. I got one too. Same model. Yeah. No, you don't even have to put water in it. Yeah, it's tapped into the main line.
You just go to this bar, put a quarter in, turn the slot, and you're good.
I love it. So they're creating the coffee, and it is making it in traditional espresso fashion, but it just puts it into a pouch now instead of into a cup at the end. It's powdered.
It's more powdered instead of having the granules. But
Yeah, more powdered instead of the granules, but it's much closer to the authentic fresh coffee that people are used to here on
I
Earth.
predict disaster first time somebody tries to clean the thing and gets coffee grounds everywhere.
no, I think Starbucks is just going to fund the next trip up there to get it, and then there's going to be a Starbucks. Like, oh, got to go over there, got to get my macchiato this morning, and they'll be good.
Yep, I love it. I am all for it. Okay, you guys, we are running this show long. Does anyone have any quick science news for the end?
Oh, absolutely. Scientists at University of Bonn and the University of British Columbia shot a laser at a beam of light on the wall, and an image appeared on their computer. Huh? They basically used a laser to look at a beam of light that was hitting a wall and could see what was around the corner. They were
How'd they
using
do that? Magic, right? Magic.
Yeah, they were using magic. Exactly.
5 points for Gryffindor.
No! It says, this is an actual reconstruction from diffusely scattered light. Our camera combined with a mathematical procedure that enables us to virtually transform a wall, an otherwise simply white wall, into a mirror, capturing diffuse light and algorithmically reproducing it. That's pretty
Nice.
stunning, amazing ability to do that there. And then the other quick story here, fish. The whole story. Oh, you can eat fish. Why can you eat fish?
Because spiders do it.
Because spiders eat fish. That's why you can eat fish.
They don't
Yeah,
have
'cause they-
feelings,
They
right?
don't feel any pain.
Yeah.
They're just
They
fish.
do feel pain. We know
Of course they
that.
do. They have a brain.
You can't see a fish cry. They don't scream out. And it turns out that pretty much, fish can feel like any other animal can.
Yeah.
They have cognition, sensory perception, on par with other animals.
So I was
Don't
thinking
fool
about this.
yourself. Fish have feelings well, maybe not just like you, but
Pretty
science
similar.
proved it.
I was thinking about it, and I think a big reason that people have this misconception about fish is that they don't have eyelids.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have expressive faces. They don't have long, complicated limbs that can react to sudden stimuli in the same fashion. They can't react to any sort of stressor in any way that we could recognize as pain or trauma or anything like that. So they just see this blank face, and
Fish
they just
face.
kind of, they can't feel anything.
Yes, according to their research, they're suggesting that fish are, in fact, more intelligent than previously believed. They have good memories, not short memories, live in complex social communities where they keep track of individuals, can learn from one another, and can develop stable cultural traditions within fish family life. And they even recognize themselves and others. They also cooperate with one another and show signs of Machiavellian intelligence, which I think is a stretch.
So Nemo is probably more
Cooperation
accurate
with people.
than we thought.
Yeah, but
Is
think about
is
it.
there
I
a
mean,
clownfish mafia?
Clownfish
Right?
mafia.
You know,
well,
they
there's
buy
definitely
from Howard.
hierarchy.
There's
There's
houses.
hierarchy in most schools and most fish like that. For example, the clownfish, the females are the larger, older fish, and so you're born a male if you're a clownfish, and then when you get older, you turn into a female. But you only do that if there's not too many dominant females already around. So there's a lot of social structure at play. But also, if you think about the clownfish, that's a perfect example for the feeling and the being able to feel pain, is that anything but a clownfish avoids the anemone. Why do they avoid the anemone? Because it hurts.
And they learned it.
I thought the
Yeah.
anemones only made fun of other fishes except for the clownfish. Like
Yeah.
they could feel, but they felt the feels, not the physical pain. But I
Exactly.
think now.
Yep.
This work was especially focused on bony fish, but they say for the most part, primary senses of fish are just as good, and in many cases, better than that of humans.
The one thing that we have not talked about yet on the show this week, and I don't know how it didn't happen yet, Goal! Football! It is the World Cup. Every 4 years you get a World Cup, and it is another World Cup year. Down in Brazil, we have the World Cup going on, and 4 years ago we reported on this show about how terrible the soccer ball was.
Awful ball.
The ball was terrible. Players would kick it and then it would shoot in unpredictable directions because of the way that the ball was shaped. And it all has to do with how well players can play and use the ball depends on how the ball moves at certain speeds. And so when players kick the ball, it's usually around 50 to 55 miles per hour that the ball moves at. And so in 2010, when the ball was kicked at that 50 to 55 miles per hour, average speed, average kick, the ball would move unpredictably. Players complained about a lot, not a great ball. This year, we have years of scientific and engineering testing and production behind the ball in this year's FIFA in the World Cup, and NASA has looked at the ball. NASA has said this ball is better than the 2010 ball. The panels are covered in lots of tiny bumps that direct the airflow around the ball to help it move faster and straighter, specifically at the speeds at which soccer players are usually kicking it.
Despite all of this research and development and improved ball, soccer is still a long, boring, low-scoring game.
It is true. I will not argue with that.
It's low scoring, or can be.
That can often end in a draw,
Yes.
where
Very
everybody
often.
just gives up.
It is true.
I've
It is
never
true.
seen a football match where people give up. It is brutal and very intense.
Football. And
There's all the
this
flopping,
year-
though.
This year, we'll see what's happening with Spain.
Soccer,
What's
football?
happening? 10-year
Well,
champion Spain losing it.
They got. Oh wow!
Chile
Yeah.
taking them
Chile.
down. Oop, did I spoiler? Sorry, people.
I've seen people. No, this show will be out after. I've seen people flop in basketball, pretending they got an illegal pick.
Yeah, it's true.
I've seen a little falling down take place in the NFL, trying to sell a pass interference or something. But rarely do they have the drama, the head back, hands covering face, the look of agony as a soccer player writhing on the ground trying to sell a foul. It's too much drama. If that's what happens when humans bump into each other, it should replicate in every sport. But I only see that level of theatrics in soccer.
It's because
I
FIFA
have
is a
some-
feeder for the Screen Actors Guild. I mean, it's just a feeder into that. That's all it is.
The reason that you have only seen it at this level in soccer is because you have not been watching my child. My child, as a result of these games, is now running around the house, throwing himself on the ground, and yelling as if we have injured him.
That is.
Are you
so
going to
wrong.
rename him Ronaldo?
It's very possible, yes.
That is so.
So in the
adorable.
after show, I can show you guys. I have this whole page of horrible flopping gifs from soccer.
That's fantastic.
Wonderful.
This proves my point exactly. Kai, at his young age, has picked up the key element of this sport is the fake writhing on the ground. If he was pretending to play basketball, he'd be taking a shot. Football, he'd be running with the ball or catching it, right? No, soccer, writhing on the ground in fake agony.
See, but I'll tell you why that's the case. It's
Water polo also, though.
It's because there's no instant replay. The refs can't be told off field what actually happened. So it's only about what they see or what they react to on the pitch. So it's not like hockey where you totally dove, or in football or basketball where they can be told from someone watching overhead. The refs there can only do so much, and I love making fun of them whenever they, a blade of grass crosses their path and they just fall over.
Additionally, this year with the World Cup, the opening was there was a lot of fanfare around a robotic suit that was worn, developed by a Brazilian scientist who also works here in the United States, Miguel Nicolelis. His exoskeleton was to be used, worn by a paralyzed person and who was going to kick a soccer ball, and they did that. However, people expected there to be a lot more walking and a much bigger kick, and it was a very small kick, and it was kind of like the mountaintop removal that I saw today. A lot of fanfare and a very small visual result. But I just want to put out there that even though it was not, a movie by Michael Bay, it wasn't the same level of technical prowess that a Hollywood film could bring you, which we have become used to, and that's what we want to see when we look at something on the television, that this is a very big step forward to be able to develop an exoskeleton that can be worn by people who have been paralyzed for years, lost the ability to walk, or even to give people extra strength and ability to do things that they otherwise would not be able to do. It's amazing. We are on the road to the sci-fi future.
Yeah, I think it's great. So. I think it's so silly that people were so upset. Like, they expected him to make a goal. But, this person that has not had the use of his legs for, 10 years?
Yeah.
Kicked a ball. I don't care if it only went a couple inches. That's crazy for that person. Imagine being that person.
Yep.
Right. And literally that is what this has been researched and raised for. It wasn't to create Iron Man or some mech warrior outfit. It's to get somebody mobile.
It's to get people mobile. And to use their brains, to be able to use stimulation, from the brains, from the nervous system, to bypass damaged areas to get things moving. So,
and to strut. Come on.
To strut just a little bit. That's right. Scott, thank you so much for joining us tonight. This has been a lot of fun.
It's been wonderful coming back and snarking.
Love it. We'll have to have you on again.
Awesome guesting.
Bring the science from space.
From space.
Where can people find you online?
Let's see. I am at Scientific Scott on Twitter. On Google Plus, which is plus Scott Lewis. And let's see, all the pages. So our Tumblr is spacefannews.com, and I also have the knowthecosmos.com. Those are the best places to get me. But Twitter, tweet at me. I'll make fun of you back. I'll reply.
Awesome. All right, everybody out there, shout outs for you. Thank you for supporting us on Patreon. Kevin Donald Wesley Ballard, Bo Hartwig, Gary Williamson, Rudy Garcia, Matthew Litwin, Eric Knapp, Mark, Jason Roberts, Patrick Cohn, Jason Dozier, Shane and Tara Ginsburg, Brian Condren, Brian Lee, Byron Lee, Lord Trentonian Moody, E.O., Ulysses Adkins, Jared Lysette, Paul D. Disney, Bob Calder, Don Kamarechka, Violated Gorilla, Tony Steele, Ed Dyer, Charlene Davidson Henry, Marshall Clark, Layla Mercedegi, Nick Gradwell, Adam Mishkan, Craig Porter, Alec Doty, James, Dan Rambo, Illuma Lama, Tuomas Maikinen, Paul West, Jason Olds, TMRO, Ben Rothig, Gary Swinsberg, Jason Martin, Miko Pakula, John Specht, Dougal Campbell, Larry Garcia, Tyler Harrison, Jürgen Stellingver, Philip Shane, Marjorie, Lauren Lang, Gordon Grant. Thank you. Thank you so much for your support. We really could not do this without you. And everyone out there, on next week's show, we're going to be broadcasting live online again at 8 p.m. Pacific time on twist.org/live. And you can watch live, or if you can't, go to YouTube, youtube.com/thisweekinscience, or you can go to twist.org for our audio files. Also, don't forget to tell a friend about TWIS, and check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/thisweekinscience.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. We hope you enjoyed the show. TWIS is also available as a podcast. Just Google This Week in Science in your iTunes directory. Or if you have a mobile-type electronic device, you can look for TWIS for Droid in the Android marketplace, or simply TWIS, TWIS, in the Apple marketplace.
For more information on anything you've heard here today, show notes will be available on our website, www.twis.org, where you can also make comments and start conversations with the hosts and other listeners.
Or you can contact us directly. Email Kirsten at thisweekinscience.com, Justin at twistminion@gmail.com, or Blair at blairbaz@twist.org. Make sure you put TWIS, TWIS, somewhere in that subject line, or you will get spam filtered into oblivion. You can also hit us up on the Twitter at TwistScience, at Dr. Kiki, at JacksonFly, and at Blair's Menagerie. We love your feedback. If there's a topic you would like us to cover, address a suggestion for an interview, a haiku that came to you in the night, let us know.
We'll be back here next week, and we'll hope you'll join us again for some more great science news.
And if you've learned anything from today's show, remember,
It's all in your head.
This week in science. This week in science. This week in science. This week in science, it's the end of the world. So I'm setting up shop, got my banner unfurled. It says the scientist is in, I'm gonna sell my advice. Show them how to stop the robots with a simple device. I'll reverse global warming with a wave of my hand. And all it'll cost you is a couple of grand. 'Cause this week's science is coming your way. So everybody listen to what I say. I use the scientific method for all that it's worth, and I'll broadcast my opinion all over the earth. 'Cause it's This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. 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 This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. 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 I've got one disclaimer, and it shouldn't be news. That what I say may not represent your views, but I've done the calculations and I've got a plan. If you listen to the science, you may just better understand that we're not trying to threaten your philosophy. We're just trying to save the world from jeopardy. Jeopardy. And This Week in Science is coming your way. So everybody listen to everything we say. And if you use our method instead of rolling a die, we may rid the world of toxoplasma gondii. 'Cause it's This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. 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 This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. 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 I've got a laundry list of items I want to address. From stopping global hunger to dredging Loch Ness. I'm trying to promote more rational thought, and I'll try to answer any question you've got. But how can I ever see the changes I seek when I can only set up shop 1 hour a week? This Week in Science is coming your way. You better just listen to what we say. And if you've learned anything from the words that we've said, then please just remember it's all in your head. 'Cause it's This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. 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 This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. 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 This Week in 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 Science.
Woot! Woot! We are now in after show.
Hello, after show. I brought
I got
Saint
a
Sagan.
big bag of buttons. What do you got,
Hello.
Sagan?
My name is Saint Sagan.
Saint Sagan.
I do
Oh, I
light
have
my
to.
Saint Sagan candle. And then I do some Neander-skulls. That is a big bag of buttons.
500 buttons to be exact.
Wow.
On my head. 500 buttons.
I want some buttons.
You can get buttons. Buttons. Got your buttons. Got batches. Patches. Batches and buttons. Stickers coming soon. Working it. I'm doing it all. Get it all done. I called your dad for help with stickers.
Oh, good.
Because...
I'm like, my dad, wow.
No. Yes, Scott, I called your dad.
You did a lot of research, didn't you?
Hey, Scott's dad. Can you help me out with some stickers?
Oh, that reminds me. Dave Broadbeck told me to tell you he said hi.
That's funny. Where'd
Yeah.
you talk with him?
On Facebook earlier.
Nice.
We were on a show together like a year and a half. I forget what about, but we've been
Dave
friends since.
Dave and I know each other because we worked in bird research labs and cited each other's papers in grad school. Yeah, our PIs were basically working on the same thing but in different
Gotcha.
birds, and so it's like, oh, Dave Broadbeck and Sarah Shuttleworth. Yeah.
And
Then I found out he was into
the
podcasting and stuff on social media, and I'm like, oh my gosh, awesome! You're cool.
He said he just reviewed a paper by your PhD supervisor.
He did. He told me that she had a paper, and so I contacted her, and I was like, hey, maybe we could do an interview. Be nice.
Was it?
I haven't done it yet. I don't know. I haven't. She's in England, so it makes it difficult to schedule.
That's. Trying to remember. 7 hours ahead. 7 hours ahead. The daylight saving. Yeah.
8.
8.
It's 8 right now. Yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
because they do daylight savings time also.
Right,
So it's
but
8.
it's yeah. I thought it was 7.
GMT. It's Pacific time plus 8, basically.
Oh, daylight saving time. How I dislike you.
Why do the
can't-
question always comes up? Why do we have it?
Stupid.
Because we are a creature of habit that does not give up on silly things. Is that Ronaldo falling? Please tell me that's Ronaldo falling.
I don't know if that's a Ronaldo, but it's someone being ridiculous.
Right, yes.
ridiculous?
Look at this. Look at this. Oh my goodness, you touched my neck, and 3 seconds later, oh, I'm so hurt.
That's right. This is
Hold
what's
on.
this is
So
why
here's
this
the
will
next
always
one.
be a
This one's
ridiculous
great
sport.
too.
Yes.
Check out this one. He gets wanged in the knee and falls all the way onto his back. And then this one's pretty good.
This one's hilarious.
Look at this.
I had to run into
Grab
that
my
guy, then
face.
fall down like I got punched in the
How
face.
do you like
They
my
always
face to your
grab their
shoulder style?
face.
Yeah.
Oh, my face.
This is why soccer will never be a real sport to me.
I like this one where he misses the ball and he's so upset he falls down like he's hurt. He'd watch it. He misses it. Oh no, I've hurt myself. That's why I missed the ball.
But yeah, like I said, a lot of it's just the culture of it. There's no way for them to have, or no, there is a way for them to have instant replay, but I think just the play of the
Double
game
flop.
itself.
I love the double flop.
Yes, this is the rare double flop right here. They just barely touch each other and they both go
My
down.
face is broken. Oh, my face!
My face.
There's this one where he just yells at him and the guy falls down.
I didn't know they had Elder Scrolls in the FIFA. That's awesome.
Oh, no.
Someone's been playing Skyrim too much.
Oh my goodness. I'm yelling at you. Ow, it hurts.
My soccer shout.
Okay, so that was what I was looking at recently, and I was just like, yep, soccer's ridiculous.
Although, what's the Olympic sport with the dancing horses? What is that's an Olympic event where they have like
Oh,
the
dressage.
equestrian versus yes. How do you say it again?
Dressage.
dressage. I mean that is a sport, really? I
Well,
don't
it's a
see
sport.
how making your horses dance to music is sport. That's silly to me.
Well, it's not even dancing. It's this.
Right. It's like the slow hokey pokey for a horse.
Do the hokey pokey and
The peacock spider's better at it than
that's what
dressage
it's
horses
all
is.
about. Oops! I knocked over a pole.
Man, Scott, you are a tweeting fool.
He is. It's awesome.
I can't not. I
Tweet.
did not want to be on Twitter for the longest time, and I was convinced to like two years ago,
Yeah.
and I begrudgingly did it, and then I realized maybe like 7 months ago, I'm like, I actually like doing this. I like live tweeting things.
I love Twitter.
It's just
I do. It's my favorite. Yeah, it's a bag of 500 buttons from the Busy Beaver Button Company.
wow, see
No.
that.
Busy Beaver Button Company.
Busy Beaver Button Company made our buttons. The Busy Beaver Button Company. I like them. Busy Beaver Button Company.
And what's with the deal with the stickers? What were you saying about stickers?
Oh yeah, so the stickers, I went to PS Print and I went to another couple of places and was like, stickers, we can get stickers made. All I need to do is just give them a graphic image and blah, blah, blah. And then it was like, all this just complicated. I had to like know how to do graphics and put things in templates and do stuff. And I was not feeling like I wanted to do stuff. And so I realized I should just call your dad. I was like,
Did he know stuff?
He might. Yes. He's going to get back to me, he said.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to be
Sent
right
him a
back.
file and I did something. All right. I invited a couple of people to our hanging out right now. Brian Condren and Paul Disney, Identity 4, and Bob Calder, if people are still awake. Byron Lee, I don't have a Gmail address for you. I do not know how to get you onto the Google Plus Hangout at this moment in time. But I have sent out some invitations for the Hangouts. Good night, Kevin Unique. Brian
Good night,
has
Moon.
joined. Good night, Moon.
Good night, John Boy.
I read that story to my child. Bleep, bloop,
I
bleep,
love
bloop,
your
bloop.
other Twitter. The screaming. That's
Shouty Blair.
I think it's quite cathartic, I've decided.
I love this. I think I need to have a shouty Scott.
That's copyright infringement.
No, I'm just.
Shouty Blair.
I'm inspired. I'm inspired.
I think it could be kind of fun because then you guys could shouty at each other.
Yes. Hey Blair, how are you?
Have space shouts and biology shouts. It's ocean versus space shouting at each other. Blair froze. Oh no.
But Froze, like, her thumbnail's amazing. She's just like, I'm shouting right now.
I know. It is a shouty face, isn't it?
I'm like waiting for the tweet to
Did
actually come out.
did my shouting break my internet?
Apparently, you broke one of the tubes, and you're being.
It was too loud. The decibels were too much for the interwebs.
Two
Right.
number
You're too
decibels.
loud for the interwebs.
Goodness. Now I'm going to have to open my
Blair
Twitter.
coming on.
Did you see?
Reason to shout.
Do you see GIFs are now on Twitter
What's
natively?
What?
You could do-
Natively.
You can do
Oh.
native GIFs on Twitter.
What's that?
They're trying to compete
Animated.
with Google Plus.
Yeah. And Tumblr and Imager and
Everyone.
everyone. But I think it's like 2 megabyte. No, 3 megabyte is the limit. Is that like a bop it? What do you?
No.
It's her megaphone. She just uses it when she needs to be shouty, Blair.
megaphone.
I must be shouty.
There is a Twitter account that's like Science Hulk or something like that, and it's just Hulk or just science facts spoken as if it was Hulk saying it. I need to find it. It is amazing.
That's funny. Shouty Blair shouted again. She broke it again. Shouty Blair with her megaphone broke the internets again.
So where's our minions at? Are they jumping in?
I have invited them. I do not know. Where's our minions at? In the chat room. Where's our minions at? In the chat room.
Where you at, suckers?
Interwebs, why do you hate me?
Interwebs wished you had a Whispery Blair account too.
Never! Alright, I'm gonna put that away because it's 10 o'clock.
You're gonna get noise complaints.
So hopefully this is the last week that you'll see robots behind me.
Are you moving?
I've got a new backdrop coming that is going to either be super totally awesome or not work out.
Right behind you, yeah.
I don't really know yet, but hopefully I should be getting it according to the delivery date here, just in time for next week's show.
So if you were in a TARDIS, would you be just in time?
Yeah, I would totally be. I would totally be. And I would also be able to see dinosaurs on a spaceship.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, let's see.
I'm sorry, Craig. I'm sorry. I did not get to that point of it. If you're still watching, and if not, I will send you a message later into the other community thing.
You know, I have Twit Refugee. I do have a green screen thing here.
Oh.
So now you can put whatever host you would rather have doing show with Kiki. Here.
Do some live chroma key.
Well, this is what I want, which I'm sure there's like a less expensive version. I'm putting it in the chat room.
What do you want? Post-up stand. Oh, yeah. Post-up stands. I've done those before. I like that company. They're a good company.
I use them for my stuff at work, too.
I have used them before.
What is a post-up stand?
It's a trade show display company.
Right. So I don't know. If you have a wall reasonably distance behind
I don't.
But she doesn't. See her bed. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you move your bed to where your desk is and put your desk free floating right in front of the wall, could make it happen.
No, not so much.
Okay. Well,
what I'm hoping to do, no. This is one of my summer projects after I get back from Israel that I'm thinking about. Is right here. I'll let you see. Right over here.
When are you going to Israel?
In 2 weeks. So right here, see this door? That's to a sunroom.
Ooh.
So I'm hoping to find a way to set that up to broadcast from.
The sunroom?
Mm-hmm. The problem
is... What about your acoustics, if you're doing... Well,
yeah, it could be very echoey.
So the acoustics will be echoey because there's a million windows. So there's that. There's also the fact that if it's light out still, I'll be super washed out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not ideal, but I've just been trying to figure out something, so I don't know. I'm not crazy about... Hello, TWIS listeners. Welcome to my bedroom. I'm a respectable scientist. I really am.
The scientist boudoir.
I'm in my home office / bedroom, so.
But I can't see your bed.
It's right over there, right? Because this is my workspace, so this is my set, and here's my stage lighting over here, and my camera and everything's over there, and I just make everything look like I'm in a little studio space, and it's really.
You know what I
Make it
should
look that
do?
way.
I wonder what they're called, but I should totally just go on Craigslist and see if there's like divideries on Craigslist.
Divideries? Are those
Yeah,
like
like-
dividers with ovaries? Or
They're like the sound walls that Kiki used to have in her old house.
Yeah.
Something like that. What are those called?
A room divider, a temporary wall, there are some neat ones like
Why do I think they mean like changing wall or something? Like, why is it? I don't know.
Room
We could-
divider.
But
Yeah.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. Instead, I mean,
Ooh.
the wide base thing, the backdrop thing is cool, but you need the thing that it's. If you can create the image thing, right, and have that.
Well, I
could
would want to be
probably
able to
hang
switch
it.
out my image,
could
right?
hang
So,
it if
like,
it was big
look at this thing that's in Sonoma that I just found. You could hang any number of things on that. I put it in the Google Hangout chat.
you're not sharing it with
You're making me
everybody.
go to a 50.
No, I don't want someone to
I've got too
run
many
up
places
and
to
grab
look
it
for
from
stuff.
under me.
You're like, I need this.
Yes, also twit refugee, so I don't have to clean my room every week, because that is one of the time constraints to starting the show. Is I have to make my bed.
Yeah, you have to make
sure
your
they're,
bed.
like- yeah. Which, okay, I understand why society makes beds, but I find it like the largest exercise in futility in the world. I feel so dumb making my bed in the morning because I'm like, literally just gonna rip this open when I get back home later. Like, what is the point?
So you make your bed?
Most
make
days
my
I
bed.
make my bed.
Really?
I do too.
I gave up when I was very young.
My
Ooh, there's
grandmother.
this also. Sorry, go ahead.
My grandmother beat it into me. Well, no, she didn't beat it into me. Yes.
Why can't I
That's
find the
why I
chat
learned
room?
I needed to do that.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, something like that. A room divider so that something that separates the room behind you from you. Makes
Here's
it a
one for
separate space, and
$500.
then you could also, yeah, that's too much. And something that you could also hang stuff on if you wanted to have pictures.
Yeah.
Or whatnot.
Totally. That's
So
what I
the
was
project
thinking.
I'm working on right now so far is just to get the new backdrop. I would like to, on the opposing side of the studio, put this up and then be able to go on location in the studio.
yes.
Like live on location from somewhere other than having walked around the desk.
Check out this one.
Just
It's
make
all
sure to
creepy.
have your green screen well lit. That is equally lit.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing I've had problems with. It took the longest time video editing to get it to where I needed it, just because I did not light it
the
correctly.
green screen.
So it's the other thing on my wish list of things to pick up is some LED light panels
hmm
for just that purpose.
I got this off of eBay,
Yeah, one of those.
LED light
That's it.
panels are great.
Oh.
and it goes
Yeah.
super bright, and it actually can go on my camera if I needed to. So if I'm doing anything outside, it's bright, and I can find it. I can slide gels in front of it. So if I need it to be warmer or cooler light, the gel will go in front of it. And I got this for like $12.
Yeah.
The pain is that it takes AA,
Batteries.
but there is an adapter you can put like a battery pack from, I think, a Panasonic camera. They have an adapter that will fit into there and recharges. But since I have my other lighting, I don't really use this all that much. But it's pretty cheap.
Yeah, I was thinking that lighting was definitely something on my list to
Mhm.
fix as well. One thing, I'm just trying to do one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Another idea is you could hang ceiling tracks and have curtains that hang. A curtain that hangs from the ceiling. Something like that.
Interesting.
Yeah. Just
Are you
saying.
for shooting video or for live shows?
For the live shows mostly, but...
Yeah.
Ooh, this is cool. Okay. I'm sending you this one. This was the one you should definitely look at. This is something that I could paint and decorate however I please. It's very bare bones.
True.
Made from 100% recycled, thick and sturdy cardboard.
That's awesome.
Where can Twit Refugee? Ask Scott Lewis where I can buy those. Those what? Not just.
Probably
LED.
lighting things.
I got off Amazon. Let me check my previous orders, and I will give links.
One good place to look is B&H. What is it?
Pro.
B&H Video.
B&H Photo, yeah.
B&H Photo out of New York. They've got all kinds of awesome stuff, and the more I look around, their prices seem exceedingly reasonable.
Yeah, and what I love most about them is their reviews. They have reviews from those that are primarily into photo and videography, as opposed to Amazon, which is just everybody.
Anybody. Right. Yeah.
You know, the internet unleashes upon the on Amazon, which I love for comedic effect. However,
Right.
Amazon reviews are some of my favorite things to read.
I'm
They have
an
a-
enabler.
Ooh.
That's right.
They have
Yeah, I've
oodles
built
of things of
a
this
pretty
nature,
impressive wish list over at B&H Photo at this point.
They have lots of room dividers at IKEA.
Yeah, I was just looking at IKEA. Great minds.
Mm. I mean, I kind of want something that's pretty, but also that I could, like
Light
tack
panels.
things to.
Yeah. I saw something possibly at not Overstock, maybe overstock.com. A canvas room divider. See if they still have it. Yeah.
See, Whiskey Renegade, I'm actually going to the chat now. JWST is going to be doing something different than the very large telescope that's on ground. It's primarily an infrared.
I put a link in the chat for you.
In me? Oh, okay.
Oh, no.
So it's mainly going infrared to around yellow light, so it's going to be looking at different wavelengths. And I'm super excited for JWST because it's like a transformer going to space. It has to unfold and do all sorts of cool stuff while it goes past the moon. So yay, JWST.
Yeah, the James Webb Space Telescope. I have been watching that one for a while. I got to go visit the team at Goddard Space Center several years ago. Very inspired by what they were doing. And it's neat, but the funding, they keep cutting funding for them, and it's just so, let's just make it happen. Come on, you've been putting the money into it for so long. Let's just get this thing into space.
Well, and it's been over budget, and
forever. I know.
It is. But yeah, like when the sequester happened.
But it's
and then when they
developing
had to
technology that has been never developed before.
Right. Oh, it's just like when Curiosity landed. It was like, oh, is it worth the $2.5 billion? Like, you don't buy a $2.5 billion robot. You had to create it and pay the salaries of these scientists and these engineers. That's what this money is. It's not you go to the store and buy one.
Right.
And the same thing with Webb. And
hi, can I get a space telescope?
Yeah. I just love, and that's how they phrase it, as if you just, you're going to the Walmart of space telescopes. Like, can you get the bargain bin one? Is there anything on clearance? Yeah, I'll take that one, please.
Yeah.
And I just love it. We did outreach for James Webb down at South by Southwest, and we had a year and a half ago, we had the full-scale model of it. So this thing is the size of a tennis court and four stories tall. It's enormous. And we're shipping it out to space. And it's going to unfold and unfurl and be able to look at the earliest point in the universe and we'll be able to see. And it costs too much. I'm like, people, where we come from.
Cost a little bit.
Where we come from, it's kind of important.
Yeah. Kind of
Does anyone want a
important.
shabby, distressed, decorative bird cage?
How did did you find that?
I'm already talking to that seller. Please do not take that out. Don't scoop me, Blair. Do not scoop me on that.
I have to look at it. Shabby, distressed, negative, birdcage. This is what I've put into Craigslist. What did I put? Room divider. Sure.
Room divider. A bird cage.
Obviously.
There we go.
Depends on what's in it. Might divide a room.
Somebody gave me a
Yes.
suggestion once for.
You should put a Fallout vault behind you. That would be amazing. See, this is what you should do. You should somehow get a hold of Bethesda and see if you can have TWIS on the radio for the Pip-Boy and have it as a channel. How awesome would that be to have TWIS in the Fallout universe?
Oh my God! No, I've thought. I can't tell you how many times I've thought about that.
Right?
Have it in the Pip-Boy, or have it as one of the radio stations.
That would be
plays
fantastic.
As you travel around.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like
Because I'm already a fan of radio and talk radio and stuff. So the fact that this for the gals who are listening, in the game, you've got you run around and do stuff. It's sort of choose your own adventure, right? So you're affecting things in this world of Fallout. You go and you clear a town of its villain. And there's radio stations that you can listen to, and the radio station sort of updates as you do stuff in the game. And it's like, whoa, well, the villains of Shady Sands apparently have left town thanks to the mysterious outsider. And, it sort of updates and changes sort of what they talk about as news on this fakety-fake radio station. But, yeah, we'd be totally awesome at that.
I think Bethesda, I know you're watching. Come on, let's do this.
Right?
Right.
That would be amazing.
I've been with you since Vault 13, baby.
Yeah. Or you could be like your own storyline. So something's playing out there, and it is like the TWIS vault where we find Kiki's bones in a big pit of other bones.
I'm not dead yet.
And she's actually a ghoul, and she's alive still from this.
Still broadcasting.
Zombie attacks.
And there'd be, of course, mutant Blair.
Oh, yeah.
Mutant shouty Blair.
Right, with a minigun, just everything down. Oh, this would be great.
Blair mad.
And I could have had my intelligence, as far as that is concerned, transferred into a robot, so
Yes.
that you think I'm the other host that's locked in one part of the vault, but as I go and get rescued, it turns out I'm stuck in the machine.
Blair mad at extinction of species. Blair mad at general ignorance of public.
Why you
Blair
know
mad at
science
climate
literate?
change and evolution denial. Gah, Blair's mad.
Where are our minions? How come we don't have minions in here?
I don't know. Paul Disney said he was on his way.
Paul's got to get in here. He's a very sciencey guy.
He's a very sciencey guy. Our minions are all super sciencey. Brian Condren. Yes, I invited Brian. Have you people not gotten the invitations I sent you? What is going on?
Check your Gmails as well as go directly to the This Week in Science Google Plus site. It sometimes doesn't show up everywhere. You have to go search for these invitations because
we were having this conversation before.
Unpredictable.
Yeah.
I was getting invites for days tonight, and I had to keep refreshing pages, going back to the Gmail, to the Plus, to the thing, and it took an inordinate time. And the one place it didn't show up is in my notifications.
Right. See, my phone was blowing up and just exploding with, like, hey, you're going to join this call.
Call, yes.
I get my mic set up and I go to join, and the main notification went off, and then everything disappeared as if it didn't happen. Like, I had to dig through the internet to find this thing.
Okay.
Like,
Okay. Question for y'all. This is kind of morbid-ish. But did any of you get an Amber Alert on your phone today?
No.
Okay.
I've turned mine off, actually.
Cruel person, Blair. Wow.
No, I've turned it off to. There's one where it's like, the first time I got one, it gave me an Amber Alert for San Diego.
Oh.
So you get it for like the entire state of California. So then I started getting them all the time, like 11 o'clock at night. I'm like, sorry. I can't do anything about this abducted child in Los Angeles right now.
Right.
See, I've
never
noticed
experienced this
recently I've been
before.
getting him locally.
Yeah,
Very
'cause
locally.
this was rather localized, but everybody at work got it
And you
who's
didn't?
got a 916 phone. I'm a 530. I didn't get it. I didn't get the Amber Alert, but they're all 916. It was like all at once, everybody's phones, and this is the first time I'd ever seen or heard this, right? Everybody's phones are going off at once, and with this weird sound, and some people it never happened to. They're like, "What happened?" But yeah, I thought that was pretty awesome, actually.
I remember it scared the crap out of me the first time it happened.
Yeah.
I remember like, what? Because it's a ringtone that I don't have set to anything else.
Right.
It's like vibrating like crazy, and I feel like, who are you bombing? What's going on here?
Yeah.
And they're like, child abducted. Like, why are you telling me? Oh, it's an Amber Alert. Okay. Like, I am not Batman. This is not the bat signal. Where you go
Yeah,
find
that was the
someone.
thing for me. I was like, what do you want me to? Do you want me to go walk in the street? Like what?
Right.
Dr. Morbius in the chat room. I think you must be in the Northern California region, in Oroville. Okay, yeah, because and that's exactly the one we got today. Yeah.
And no, it's not a California thing.
And it is a state of California thing. From what I heard thus far about it, is the state of California is authorized to blow up everybody's phone.
I received when I was in Vegas, I got one in Vegas. And when I was at Science Online in North Carolina, I got one there too. So I think it just depends on the E911 system, on what they have integrated into it. Because some
That's
places
interesting.
don't have it.
I was figuring the reason I didn't get tagged is because I had a different area code than most of the people at work.
It just didn't like you.
But if it's by
It knows you
location,
hate
I
children.
I have my locations off on my phone so that the MLB satellite can't track me. But maybe it was by location and not by area code. Brian, welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Good
morning
morning.
somewhere.
What are you talking about? It's like the middle of the night. Where are you dialed in from?
I'm from Dublin, Ireland.
Dublin, Ireland.
Whoa.
Oh, I'm sorry about the match today. If you're rooting for England, I'm really sorry about that.
I don't like soccer.
Okay.
Or the English.
You're not English. It's okay. Yeah.
So I'm just sitting
And
here
I
enjoying
did-
my breakfast. So
Wonderful. Sorry about the confusion. I was like, I sent invitations. I don't know where everybody is.
Paul, your mic is shut off. I don't know if we've got too many mics on. I'm going to turn my.
No,
You
it
He's
it
got his
auto
off on
mutes.
purpose. It auto mutes. We can turn him on if we want to. He said 1 minute.
Justin, your mic did not overload the system. It's okay.
So I'm gonna put in the general chat room what I think I'm gonna get to put behind myself, just so everyone should check it out. I think.
And
You should
decide.
have like
Okay.
you should have a wall of Chuckies. That would be
Oh,
amazing.
gross.
So Brian, you've started a podcast.
I have the Irish Craft Beer Show.
Nice.
Beautiful.
That's
Very good.
awesome.
Yeah, it's very. I'm discovering how stressful video editing is.
What
Are
are
you
you
doing-
using?
At the moment, I've been evaluating loads of different open source stuff, but I'm still using Windows Movie Maker because it's what I know.
Getting into video editing is an adventure.
Mhm.
I I started off with iMovie and then went to Final Cut Pro, and now I'm using Adobe Premiere, which I love. I love Adobe Premiere so much.
You like
but
it?
Oh, I love it. I love having Creative Cloud. It's fantastic.
Hmm.
But I also know that if I would have jumped into Premiere, I would have not known what was going on. So
How to do
having
it.
that gradual step in, I think, really helped me understand just my sense of video editing. So.
Yeah, I'm still intimidated. I have so many problems with audio editing. And I'm using the Adobe, which is actually the Creative Cloud thing, too, for the audio editing, which is actually the easiest thing. It's very intuitive to me.
Audition?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the actual act of editing is tedious.
Yeah, it is.
So
I do
unrewarding,
not
except when you
miss
get a
editing
final product.
podcasts at all, man. Oh, podcast editing is awful. Especially when you get two sources and they're not line. It's just.
Blair, are you serious about these room dividers?
No. Yeah, I wanted Hello Kitty behind me.
If everyone has not seen these room dividers yet, I don't think I'm gonna. Oh, here it is. I can show everyone these room dividers. There's Hello Kitty room divider.
I mean, that's the clear decision, right? I mean,
Obviously.
The obvious choice is.
That's what everyone wants to look at while I'm talking, I'm sure.
So I honestly think I'm going to win the internet with my backdrop next week.
Is it really a Fallout vault?
No,
Oh.
that's gonna be for the green screen.
Okay.
Because I don't have the rights to use it, so it has to go up in something that can be edited out. But I'm using something that I think is open access-y-ish in the context of this show.
You
What do you mean? Ish.
Well, it's not something I created, but it's a government-owned piece. And actually, the first thing that occurred to me that I wanted to use was the image that you were showing today of the deep field array.
Right.
But I looked at it and I
Not
thought...
the bird, not the fish-eating spider? That's not what you
That would
wanted?
be amazing. Yeah.
But I thought the only reason I didn't do it is I thought it might just look like, because it's a backdrop and it's going to be slightly out of focus, might just look like dots.
Right.
I didn't know how well...
If you want some good space porn for a backdrop, let me know. I've got like a whole folder of specific things for just beautiful backdrops.
So I'm gonna give it away just so that we can I don't want to give it away, but I think it's gonna be perfect. I want to tell it, but I also want to surprise with it. All right, because I don't know if it's gonna work out or not. I'll go ahead and say I'm using Earthrise.
Oh, cool.
Right. So the idea is, and I'm not sure I've got the exact layout right I might have to move things around a little bit, but the idea is there'll be a moon horizon about here-ish in my background and a planet Earth hovering up in the sky.
I like it.
Sounds
Shooting.
like it might
We'll
be
see how
nice.
well the actual I haven't seen the rendition of this thing. I'm having a fabric backdrop made for it that's hopefully going to ride.
So I know I've missed a few TWISs lately, and I'm thinking I might have to miss next week's TWIS because I realized that my 10th wedding anniversary is like on this next Thursday.
Okay, well, as long as you don't have to miss the one after that, because I will be here next week, but I will miss the two following that.
That's okay. Yeah, you're gonna miss the two following. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the. Oh, wait. You mean our anniversary is on a Thursday?
How dare
Cancel
you?
it.
How could it be? Why would it do that? We got married on a Saturday.
I never hang at Thursdays. Oh.
Universe.
I'm
Why would-
spying
Tweet Refugee, why would Dark
Paul's
Brown look bad?
background, and it's looking super audio
Very audio heavy.
music factory
Why would you think that?
awesomeness going on there.
With his pop filter and his keys and his mixer.
It's all ready to rock.
Yeah.
It's working.
I
He is-
don't know why you'd think that. Can anyone hear me?
Can you turn your
Your
gain up a little
volume's
bit?
down. Yeah, turn up
Yeah,
your
okay.
gain.
Turn up the mic, man.
But he's definitely got the nice studio
This
happening
one.
there.
How's that sound?
A little better. A little bit more though.
More.
Turn us into Maxwell. Come on, I want my hair to pull back.
Now, see, my game goes to 11.
That's
There
it.
All the other
There you
ones
go.
Yeah,
go to 10, but I need to go like that one extra.
you do.
To 11.
That one, don't even look at it.
I don't do audio. I don't know why you'd think I'd do anything audio related. That's silly.
Not at all.
No, I do numbers. Why would I do no? No, I do audio.
He paints birds. Actually, Blair, Paul is responsible for that distressed bird cage you found earlier on the internet.
Oh!
There's a reason why it's distressed. It used to not be a stressed out bird cage, but I did things to it. Now it's very distressed.
I gotta go.
I hit it with a baseball bat.
Yeah.
I'm distressed.
Was this bird cage vacant when you did that?
I certainly hope so.
Tossing around the apartment a couple times. It doesn't matter. The bird can fly.
That's right. Flybird.
We were doing
Terrible.
dropped elevator experiments with it.
Elevator experiments. Just the bird cage.
Yeah, sorry about that. Every time I log in to Google Plus, my audio settings are different. Today, decided to pump it to my iMac speakers instead of my headphones, and then to the headphones, it only did it in one channel. So
You can thank the Hangout plugin for that. Oh man,
That's
always
right.
changing.
It's good in a way because you can definitely narrow down your issues as far as audio goes, but for jumping in and having someone that's never been in a Hangout before, trying to explain to them how to find their audio source from either within their system or within that plugin.
Oh no, that's
It's
me.
a
I've done
disaster.
this all of twice ever, and they're
Right.
just spaced far enough apart where I don't remember how it was set up the last time.
So today we had an astrophysicist that's computer illiterate, somehow computer illiterate, and trying
that's
to
normal.
explain how to use that, and it was fun.
They know how to look at telescopes, and telescopes don't have windows on them. Well, maybe. Well, do they? Yeah, they're probably Linux, but
No, a lot of astrophysics is on computers, but
Yeah.
it's like, I know how to
Linux.
code, but I don't know any of this. The user interface. What's a user interface?
well, okay. My dad designed microchips, and
Command
he
line.
couldn't sit down and figure out how to get the viruses off his computer. So, very narrow field.
Totally narrowed. I have a question for people. Social media. If somebody approaches you and says, "Hey, we'll pay you money to tweet,"
I
things.
got that too.
Oh.
hey, I got this email.
No.
It
Yeah.
might be the same email, Scott. It's very.
Is this
No.
the company that is something to do with Radio Lab by
Yeah, they're trying. They're trying
Yep.
to pimp the podcast channel for
Right.
the.
No.
You're big on social media. Were you like, yeah, I got that.
Yeah,
too.
it's the email. It's like, you do science and technology. How would you feel about, being paid to do a couple of tweets about
Just-
this thing?
In order to get paid, just give us your bank routing number. No.
Well, it's
It's
not really a
PayPal.
scam. Yeah.
It's not a scam. They would actually pay, but it would be paid through PayPal, and then they set up a dashboard, and then they would give you, they would let you know if there are other campaigns that I look.
think it
My
comes
skeptical
more down to
spidey
ethics
sense is
than-
going off.
it
And I'm a
comes down-
little-
yeah.
And I'm a little concerned about the whole idea about people tweeting and not saying that they're getting paid for doing the tweet.
Don't work for the man. The man is bad. You'll become a shill for the man.
I think that's a lot of it too. Is if you announce that you are getting compensated for certain tweets, then that kind of you are covering yourself. But
Yeah.
that also is a tinge on what if you ever are promoting anything else just because you like it,
Yeah.
are people going to think that you're being paid to do it? And so it does
Right.
leave that that balance in there. I didn't want anything to do with it, even though it'd be nice to get paid for stuff, but it's not paying much from what I understand.
It's funny that, yeah, and I'm like, okay, how much would it pay? And then the way I think about Twitter is like I actually am using it to try and have conversations, and I feel like I'm making friends on Twitter. And even though I might not have ever met these people before, I wouldn't, go to my friends that I'm talking to face to face, or even as a text message, be like, "Hey, this podcast is super awesome," and it's got paid for this text. No?
Hey guys, speaking of science, you know what's awesome? Mini wheats. Eat your mini wheats today.
Hashtag compensated for this. For this.
Right. Right.
Like my money now.
Yeah,
Give
can
me
I
my
get money, please?
Kellogg's.
I don't always drink beer while doing This Week in Science. But
Yes, you do.
Who am I kidding?
Yes, you do. Always.
Brian,
Brian, I'll be right back.
But
Brian,
now, Justin, you can
what's your
say-
podcast? Because I gotta
I
subscribe
don't always
to it.
drink wine while I chat with you, but
Podcast. It's the Irish Craft Beer Show, Justin.
The Irish Craft
It's on
Beer.
YouTube. Yeah, search for that on YouTube. It'll come up.
Okay, I'm on it.
And so now when you
Right.
are drinking beer on TWIS, you can hold up your beer and say, "This is
Oh.
not Irish craft beer."
Drink
But you can
wine.
find out about it on the
Drink
Irish Craft
wine.
Beer Show.
wine is better.
Wine is fine.
My wine's the best. I make it myself.
Oh my god.
This is
That
just getting
label.
better. After the cage comment, then that.
Maybe on the ceiling.
Terrifying.
That label is
So
terrifying.
now
I know.
I'm gonna have nightmares from that label.
All right, hang on. I got a couple Irish Craft. Who's it by?
By ICBS.
All right. There we go. Okay.
Oh, we
ICBS,
lost
and
Scott.
then I gotta find my subscribe button. Bam! All right, I know. Oh, there's a bunch of. Okay, cool. I'm going. This is gonna be what I force. I get my best friends to tune into. We've been talking about doing some sort of brewing thing. Maybe we'll try to record a brew and send it to you.
Ooh, yes.
Right? You can incorporate the Irish Brewcraft satellite brewing thing. Because we do it, it's about every 2 months or so. We do a batch.
Cool.
We'll send it to you unedited. No, so just be prepared.
Yes, I've been having fun editing.
My goodness. So you talk about beer that you've tasted and also about making beer, or just...
Yep,
I'm
about
seeing
making beer, about tasting
brewing
beer.
going
Man, I've been interested for a long time in brewing beer, but I've never tried it.
You should come to Davis, Kiki. Blair. Next time we're
What?
whatever.
Did that
Co-host-
just happen?
I've been to Davis.
Co-host. Whatever. Generalized. I do this with my. I'm old enough. I do this with my kids now. I gotta run through all the kid names.
We're
And then
not
I
the
throw in
same.
some other names just to mess with them.
Kiki, Scott, Blair, that's what it is.
So
now you just
yeah,
need to come up with a combination of the two of our names, and then you just have to remember one name.
At least he's not calling you by
Leaky?
a pet's name.
Bleaky. Kiki.
Nice opening music, Brian.
Yes, I had good fun looking for that.
Rockin'. Nice.
I'm thinking about pulling the trigger on this 23andMe situation.
You need to do it. You
Why
need to
are
do
you
it.
still thinking about it?
What's going on?
$100. I try not to spend $100 so easily. I try to think about it before I spend $100.
Oh, did I get? Oh, I guess you
Maybe
guys saw
we're
all my updates on the
Thank you for
Facebooking?
TWIS. Identity 4. Facebooking.
But it turns out that I'm a good chunk Native American and Ashkenazi, which both of which
You're Ashkenaz.
I'm Oshkosh Baganazi,
Ooh.
like
Nope.
4% or more.
You
I
said
think
that
you're
all wrong.
related to Marshall then.
Yeah, totally. Me and Marshall got peeps.
You guys go way back. Marshall's a large percentage Ashkenazi.
Yeah, I got the 2.7%.
Did he go away? 2.7% broken.
2.7% robot.
2.7% bandwidth.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's unfortunate.
Boo! Hey, thanks for the show files.
So
Awesome.
here was the coolest thing about the 23andMe. I think this was a new event. I don't think I had this last week. Which is that, well, I'm always suspicious of stuff, right? Like, well, are they just telling me what surname lineage I should have? Because they ask a lot of surname questions and stuff like that. But here's what's really wild about it. They have this one feature that tries to find your closest genetic relative who's also done 23andMe. And they pulled a guy out of Sacramento, which is, you know, where my family was for like 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
And says, this is your second cousin. So I go and I look at it, and he's got my grandmother's maiden name. And his family, I'm looking back, he did the surname thing, and I'm looking back and I'm saying, oh, yeah, that's my Sicilian relative last name. Right? This is all familiar stuff. I call my pops and I ask him, and it turns out this is likely my grandmother's brother's grandson. Right? So and it did this not based on anything other than we have genes in common. We have a higher percentage of our genes in common than most users. High enough to be, and they nailed it at second cousin. They're absolutely right. So really impressive. I was totally blown away by 23andMe, which is an unsponsored plug, by the way. They're not giving me, and they're so yeah. I've got at least based on this. Let me pull it up. I think it was at least 4% plus, because they do some broad stuff. Like it says I'm 17.6 Italian, but I can trace Italian back pretty well, and it says broadly Southern European, which means they couldn't fit it into a category. That 22% probably all goes to Italian. Ashkenazi gave me a 4.1, which wasn't completely confirmed. It had been very expected, but wasn't completely confirmed by family. The biggest outlier here, 4.9% Native American. That was not specifically expected.
How much Native American?
5.9. What did I just say? 4.9. Up to 5.7 in that range, right?
Huh.
Native American, which explains the no ability to grow a mustache. Other bonuses. 3.8% Balkan, which is pretty close to Italy. That's like
really?
Greece and stuff.
Vulcan. This thing Vulcan. I'm like, awesome, man.
Vulcan. I'm part Vulcan.
Up top, dude.
Right. 2.7% and or either French Germanish. Totally no idea. But that could be tied into the at least 6 up to 15, 16% Irish, which was expected. The Iberian, 5% Iberian. Iberian, for those who don't know where Iberia is, it's largely the Spanish peninsula, but specifically, and this one's kind of interesting because both sides of the family can trace back some Portuguese in the mix. So it's most likely that my Iberian-ness is some Portuguese-ness. But yeah, much more Native American than I would have guesstimated.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Sweet.
See, I'd be worried if I did that, there wouldn't be a lot of genetic variation there.
Well. So here's what's interesting
That
about
was
this.
me. Not much genetic variation at all. It was like, you are Northern European.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I knew that.
Here's what's interesting about this: that it's based on your genetics, and it's done based on samples of people whose family lineages have been traced back 500 years, because it's trying to place where your genetic lineage was 500 years ago, before a lot of travel took place and people started mingling a lot.
You see, I think that's probably still where the town my father was from. That's probably where my lineage was 500 years ago. There's one graveyard. There's the graveyard my grandmother is based in. We can find relatives going back to 1750s in there. So
that's pretty good. That's a couple hundred. But then there's another 300 or so that you've got or 400 that you've got completely unaccounted for.
Well, the last name Condren apparently arrived in Ireland during the Norman conquest in the 1160s, 1200s. So I think I can probably safely say I've been Irish since then.
Yeah.
Wow. That's kind of awesome, though. Yeah.
So here's then where it might actually still be interesting and worth doing, which is you may find you have second cousins that run with a certain last name. One of the things that it was kind of interesting, they've got this other thing you can look at. Let me see if I can pull it up, which is based on surnames. You can look based on surnames to see what surnames sort of have a relation to you more than others, right? Let's see, under DNA relatives, here's where it's at. So this is the one that pulled up my second cousin just based on DNA. But it also has a surname view where, based on the people who use 23andMe, who've done the test and had their genome looked at, it shows you, just in general, what last names you're most connected with, right? This was pretty odd for me. This is the oddest one of the bunch. My highest count on this look was Taylor. There's not a single Taylor in my background, but I've got the most third cousins under Taylor. When you go to fourth cousin, I've got a lot of Cohens. I've got a lot of Hudsons, Gordon. You know, everything but my actual last name. Yeah, but it goes Taylor, Harris, Cohen, none of which are in the history, but those are the most third and fourth cousins based on this list. So it's just sort of a, you know, I wouldn't consider myself being anywhere near a Taylor. Taylor? What's a Taylor? I don't know, but I got a ton of third cousin Taylors.
So I just opened up the Q&A for the first time. I forgot to open it during the show. There's so much activity. It's the first time that the QA has been like super active. Ciro has been in, so we have and Tony Darnell.
And Tony.
Yes, Michael Jobin, Ciro Villa, Tony Darnell, Ronald Minch.
These are all people that, honestly, every single one of these. Every single one are either partners in crime or regular commenters.
Ciro and Michael join on occasion.
Oh, awesome.
Michael's here usually in the Q&A. Ciro on occasion, but Michael and Tony
and
definitely
Ronald.
were here for. Tony was definitely here for you. He said, and answering the question about the Hubble, it would be 2024. Is when the Hubble is when it will if we don't do anything to raise its orbit. Yeah. Last days in 2024, so we still have a while with the Hubble.
Can we do something? Can we save Hubble, or can we make a bigger, better, meaner Hubble? What's the plan?
James Webb is the plan. So
James Webb Space Telescope. Yeah.
So 2018 is its launch date, and it's going to be like yellow. So middle of the optical wavelength to infrared, to look because we now know with the accelerated expansion, we need to look at longer wavelengths to be able to detect the earliest universe. So we're looking at redder wavelengths.
Tony had a question. He's probably long gone. I have no idea. But he says he's a question that he always asks biologists. Is the step of going from a primordial soup full of the ingredients of life but not alive to something that is alive, is that an easy step, evolutionarily speaking, or hard? That is something we don't know.
That depends on what you call alive.
How about a long? That one's really long.
That last step you really got to watch.
You got to watch that.
Doozy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. Blair hit it on the head there. It depends on what you consider alive. So, is a virus alive, and what's the, what is the step between in going from being a virus to something that's its own cell? What is the step from just being
self-replication?
Yeah.
But this is also leads
Not
into
so easy, I would think.
This also leads. It's got to be the hardest because this is the thing that leads into my biggest doubting of life on other planets, despite the Drake equation, etc. I would expect, and maybe it's because it takes a very extreme particular event to unlock the catalyst for life to exist. But I would expect that we would be able to find evidence on this planet of life coming into existence more than once. And as of yet, we have not.
Right.
All life that is on Earth that we can look at, we can trace back to some point in the genetic family tree of evolution from some ground zero of life on this planet. And we're not looking at, wow, this life evolved separately from the rest of life on this planet. And you would think on a planet that obviously can handle life quite well, that you might have seen evolution, the existence of life from its first step, pop up multiple times. It should be happening.
Well,
today.
what happens if the branches combine back together again?
It ruins everything. Then it's just one. It's one start.
Yeah, so I think it is, we don't see multiple family trees. We just have one tree. We have one genetic code. We have one standard that everything works under. We haven't shown, nobody has found evidence for multiple starts to life, that there are that there would be multiple family trees with different starts.
Right.
We haven't seen that.
Maybe, and this is probably not a very strong maybe, but maybe it is. We are going to find someday that, like Neanderthal people, there was another, like Neanderthals' involvement in modern humans. Maybe there was some cousin life form that did arise from a different source,
but it just didn't make it.
That didn't make it, or that integrated.
Yeah,
at
became
an
part
early
of our
enough stage.
biology.
But as of the current data, we're the only game that's ever been played, and that is kind of disturbing to me for the prospects of life on other planets, because even on a planet where life is possible and abundant, it really seems to have only gotten a kickstart once, which is just phenomenally depressing in terms of, being able to find other life somewhere else.
Yeah, but when you think about it too, we just found out with Kepler that there are more planets and stars in our own galaxy, let alone in the galaxies of the rest of the universe.
Yeah, our solar system is very typical.
Right.
So you take a region with 1 billion stars, you can factor in 8 billion planets.
Right. And up until fairly recently, we didn't know there were any other planets. Now we know that there are more planets than stars. And with those odds now, updating that Drake equation and understanding now that we And now with M dwarf stars being able to have rocky planets in habitable zones, we're upping those odds of saying there are more planets that could possibly have an atmosphere, that could possibly have the ability to have liquid water on its surface. I think maybe that the soup to life, whatever you want to define that to be, might be exceedingly rare, but now that we're getting more evidence that Earth-like planets are there, our understanding that it might be, life might be more feasible than we originally thought. Just
which is all the more distressing.
Right.
Is all the more distressing that we removed Jupiter as a planet, because it reduced
Jupiter's
that equation by more than 10%.
It's huge. Jupiter's enormous. It will be a planet until the day we die.
By getting rid of that, we were also eliminated a lot of planets throughout the universe.
No, I'm just giving you shit. Jupiter is a planet, but Pluto is not a planet. Jupiter is enormous.
Am I saying Jupiter? I meant Pluto. Yeah. I'm totally misspeaking now. So here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. But why is it, Kiki? My life science touchstone. Why is life only appeared once on this planet?
You remind me of Double Rainbow, dude.
I think it's a very interesting question. We don't know, and maybe what happened is just based on the conditions here on Earth and how life was able to find little pockets of mud where it could get its start. Maybe because of the building blocks and the particular conditions here. Maybe only one pathway is the path that really worked. Maybe life did get its start at one point, and then maybe it was shot down.
It just gets gobbled up because anything that enters the game late is the bottom of the food chain. And
maybe it's also just and maybe it's also just the timing of it. So maybe it got gobbled up. Maybe it's also the timing of it, so that maybe life got started once before, and then another planet ran into us. And then, life had to start over again. And so maybe then the second time around is the one that caught. And that's the one that, that's where we came from. So maybe there was another start, but then it got burned up. And we just don't have evidence of it because it was all burned up.
Right.
When everything went to magma on the entire planet.
Magma.
Yeah.
Right. When Thea...
that's what I'm referencing.
Right. And maybe it's just the fact that in the universal evolution of where the molecules and the elements have been able to combine to form planets like our own, it's going to take a while. It's going to take a while for the life and death of stars to be able to explode out to create these heavier elements. So maybe we're just at the front end of where life is happening, and things are so far away that we just won't know for a long while if life exists elsewhere, just because it's going to take a while for that light to travel to us for us to observe it. It could be happening all over the place and just won't be able to be seen in our lifetimes because we are very short-lived creatures on a cosmic timescale.
Yeah, but I'm thinking also that, so if we're this short-lived creature on a cosmic timescale, so the consciousness to be aware of life itself and to be looking for other kinds of life, it's this brief little blip, cosmically speaking. But we come from this long history on our own planet that has been bombarded within our solar system by, other planetoids, planets, asteroids, all sorts of stuff, comets. Things have been bombarding us for millions, billions of years, and so things die and things have to start again. We get new building blocks and things get started again. And so maybe we just happen to fit in this perfect window that allowed development up to the point of conscious introspection, whereas in other places, maybe their suns got too hot too fast. Maybe they've gotten, similarly bombarded, but not, didn't have a chance to make it up to conscious introspection. So, all of these planets and these places all everywhere. It's not just the possibility that they have the right conditions, it's also the right amount of time, and there are other factors that still play into it. So
what I love is
it's still pretty big probability that there's life out there.
Right. I agree. It was last week or 2 weeks ago, there was an announcement of Kaptein Star, which is a star we've seen for, it's very close to us. I think it's like the 25th closest star to us. We saw that there are 2 planets, and one is within the habitable zone of that star. But I think my favorite ever press release of anything was the fact that they released a piece of written fiction about this star. It was a sci-fi story about an artificial intelligent spacecraft that went out and it was writing a letter back home about how amazing it is that it finally found another planet that had these, talking about these cities and these, that tried to colonize other planets, and it really brought home the fact that it's going to take a while for us to ever observe that, and how it could. They're talking about that their lifetime in this fictional universe, they're already dead, they're already extinct. Life no longer exists there, and the only way that we're able to see it is just because of the evidence that there are remnants of this long, billions of years long ago civilization.
Ooh, so we need to put the bone pile in the special room, right? The bomb shelter.
In the vault.
It's the next Voyager mission.
Yeah?
Yes.
We need to have the cosmic vault.
That's right.
Where when World War III of the universe happens, we'll be safe, and we'll be able to radiometric carbon date them, and we'll be good.
Just put them on Pluto.
Put it on Pluto.
Yeah, but don't put them on Jupiter, because on Jupiter,
that's an actual.
I don't think anyone's gonna find them on Jupiter. It might be a little hard.
Might be different.
At Pluto, better chance.
Can we just encase everything in radio dated carbon so that it looks like Harrison Ford?
Yes, exactly.
That's right.
One of my favorite quotes from, I guess it was last month.
Shoot it into space.
Not the month before. The best evidence I've ever heard that the U.S. government isn't covering up knowing about aliens was Seth Shostak. Testifying before Congress about what it is SETI does, how they use their money, need for more money, blah, blah, blah. Is that whenever they do get like a wow signal or something interesting that they need to look into a little further, that could be a signal of intelligence from outer space, that the local news, the newspaper, call, UFO enthusiasts call, everybody's begging for information, but they've never gotten a call from a congressman, from a senator, from the Pentagon, nobody from the government ever calls them wanting to know what it is that they found. They're not even concerned. They don't even put it on the plane of possibility.
They call, they're just not allowed to talk about it.
That's right.
That's true. The thing is, NASA's been paying off Congress all this time. The whole appearance of how the money system's working between NASA being funded and the U.S. government is completely reversed, but we've been paying everybody off the entire time. So.
That's right. That's where NASA's budget goes.
Right. You see, the NSA is actually the secret front to NASA.
Right.
We're just spending all that money on spying on people. Don't worry about that. That's not going anywhere.
The thing I will tell you, of all the people I know that are looking up, with either with SETI or with their own optical telescopes, is that astronomers are terrible at keeping secrets. Any scientist I know is terrible at keeping secrets.
They have awful. Yeah.
awful at keeping secrets.
But you know who is good at keeping secrets? The telescope manufacturers. They're in it too.
Maybe.
No. The CIA is
Painted over the optics
filtering
with a black starry sky.
all information that comes from Hubble through, what is it, Johns Hopkins University?
Yeah, through Space Telescope Science Institute.
Yeah. They're filtering it because that one UFO got caught on camera, and now everything has to be on delay.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the Super Bowl, but with space.
No, it's true. I heard it on Art Bell once.
Right, exactly. I think Glenn Beck told me that as well, actually.
Well, it's because one of the aliens cursed on television. They couldn't bleep it quick enough.
Yeah.
That's
The
right.
FCC just didn't
Talking
have.
to aliens, you're ruining everything.
There was an alien nipple slip.
Kids could have been watching.
Hey, everyone, I'm going to have to say goodbye because I have to go to work. So.
Have
All
a
right,
good day
cheers,
at work,
Brian.
Brian.
I look
Thanks
forward
for
to
joining
catching
us.
your episodes on YouTube.
Oh, thank you. Cheers.
Yes, enjoy your beer. Have a good day. Good
But
weekend.
not at work.
Yeah. I'm just screen sharing because I thought as we were talking about secrets, I thought that the placement of it just looked kind of funny.
Oh,
I like how
This
how
here,
Tim looks like
like-
E.T. though. It looks E.T. Going home.
Oh, and that your face is covered? It's super
So my
weird.
face is
So,
covered and I'm like
acting-
hiding. And Blair's like, ooh, it's a secret.
And Justin's like, hey, look over there.
Who's behind the TWIS logo? Find out by
Can you guys
tuning
tell
in.
that my arm is in 3D?
Oh, secrets.
It's like actually coming out towards you.
Elliot.
That was so funny that because in that like session, that was the one where he was telling us to talk, and he was like, "All right, you guys, no, just be silly now."
Just be silly.
Stop
And
talking.
That's what came out.
Actually, that pointing is something that I learned from a B movie director in Hollywood.
Oh, you didn't learn it from like GQ or something?
No. He says whenever you're anytime you're around famous people and there's a camera, before they take the picture, point somewhere. And when the picture is taken, they're gonna follow where you're pointing. Then the picture gets taken, and it looks like you're instructing whoever the famous director is.
Nice.
It looks like you're
I love
telling
it.
them where. Hey, look
You're
at
in
that.
charge. This is your scene.
Is that what you
You're
were
the
doing,
one
Justin?
directing the action, and that photograph will capture you telling them what's up.
Love it.
That's where that was completely orchestrated.
So yeah, all my YouTube friends are coming to town next week, and so I'm going to do that every time we have a photo op. I'm like,
Yeah. Point. They'll all look.
Yeah.
Look over there. Click.
Got it.
And then it's you telling them
You shouldn't have told us that secret.
why. 'Cause now we're all going to be pointing like this.
We thought
Yeah,
you were
now if we
extremely
ever take
photogenic,
pictures
Justin,
together
and now
again-
you're being a jerk.
Look. No, you look. No, you look. No, you
We're all
look.
gonna
It could be worse. It could be every single picture that's taken. He stands in the background just.
He does that too.
Not consistently though. Thank
No.
goodness for that.
So this video switching is like all I'm seeing is still shots of people now. Does
'Cause
that
we're
happen to
going
you
too
guys, or is that
quickly.
just my interweb connection?
I don't actually move. I'm a wax statue with a speaker in it. I'm actually calling from a remote location through this dummy. I'm in a secure facility, deep underground.
I'm
Where they can't
secure,
find
really.
me.
I've learned
I'm
security
insecure.
and
I'm
self-esteem. I'm
I'm
secure.
coming from a really insecure place right now.
Right.
You guys, I'm tired.
Stop staring at. Quit judging me.
I'm
coming from an insecure
broadcasting
place.
from underneath my couch.
I'm
Very
secure.
cramped in here, and there's a lot of dust bunnies. Somebody help!
I'm secure in the fact that I need to go to bed.
I'm going to my happy place.
Which is under a green screen.
This is under a green screen, so I can make whatever I want.
Whatever you want. You're like Harry Potter over there.
I'm invisible. You can't see me now. I blend in with the background. I'm still
Hi.
looking forward to
So what's this about NASA making a warp ship? Is that a thing, or is that just science fiction for some kind of movie?
It is not a thing. It's
Okay.
a cool thing, and there's a lot of theory going into it, but we're not going to have warp.
A friend of mine was talking to me about that work. He's like, this is cool. It could go faster than speed of light. Oh,
It's awesome.
what energy source? Like something the size of Jupiter. Oh, how does it warp to space? I don't know.
Trilithium.
Oh, well, that's cute. That's nice.
We're
sci-fi.
going beyond dilithium. We're going to trilithium crystals there.
Yeah, I thought it was a cute
Fairy
bit of sci-fi. That'd be nice, though.
Actually, I think it's unicorn farts. Is what it is.
Unicorn farts.
Yeah.
Dragon
Perfect, I have
heartstring.
those around somewhere.
What was that?
Dragon heartstring.
Yes, that's what it is.
Harry Potter reference.
Yes.
Blairla? Blairla?
What?
Blairla?
Yes.
So, are you going to sleep?
Yeah.
She's like falling asleep on her microphone right
Why are
now.
you going to sleep?
She's like drooling.
Because I have to wake up at 5.
Why are you so tired all the time?
Because I have to wake up at 5.
Why do you have to wake up at 5?
Because I'm running summer camp, running this outreach program, and trying to plan to leave for 2 weeks.
Woohoo!
You could do that on no sleep. That's fine.
So, don't you watch the internets? Don't you know that our homeland isn't safe right now?
Then I should leave.
No, our other homeland, where we're the chosen ones.
Oh, because you're part Ashkenaz.
Because I confirmed my
Now he's with you. Now he is with you.
He's no longer a goy over there. He's,
No.
Suddenly
legit
he's a
Jewish
12th Jewish, and he's the biggest
I'm Oshkosh
Jew that ever was. What?
He magically knows all the best delis everywhere.
Yeah, it does explain. My first real job was at Greenblatt's Deli, the oldest Jewish deli in Los Angeles. My favorite place to eat there was Cantor's. It's genetic. Your food taste must be genetic.
Yes, the 12th of you. Yes.
See, I'm over by Koreatown, but I live by Langer's, which is like this Jewish deli surrounded by like all things Koreatown and Filipino town. Like, where did this come from? But it's amazing. It's so good. My old medic partner was Jewish. He knew all the places in Detroit to go to.
So Blair, you're gonna have to teach me how to be more like my people. Is there a secret handshake? Like, what have I got to catch up on? What have I missed?
Yes, Blair, what's the secret?
My whole life.
Okay, Judaism in 90 seconds. Ready?
Okay.
Let's go.
I can do it even faster than that. Don't argue with Blair anymore about religion.
Now that I'm among the chosen people, I have no beef with religion. I'm all
Beef with
for
religion. Where have you been?
Now that I've been chosen as one of the chosen people, I am totally down.
Justin, I think you forget. I'm a Jewish atheist.
Well, I
And
guess
they're
I
very
technically
common.
am now too. Before I was just an atheist. But what do I got to know? What am I doing wrong? What have I got to do right now?
Live in the now. Appreciate what is good. Be good to other people.
Don't tell the other religions how good it is.
And no matter what hardships you've been through, there is a reason to continue, and there is still good things out in the world. That's pretty much Judaism in a nutshell. Oh, and family is important.
What about guilt?
What if I still don't get matzo ball soup?
Well, if you don't have a Jewish mother, you don't really have to worry too much about Jewish guilt.
True.
What if I still don't like matzo ball soup?
Matzo ball soup is good though.
Do you
What
not
if
like
I'm
matzo ball
just-
soup? I
What's
think
wrong
you
with
haven't
you?
had good matzo ball soup.
Maybe I haven't had the right. Maybe I haven't had the right kind.
Maybe
I don't think you could be Jewish.
I like
think that
latkes.
disqualifies
Latkes
you.
are good too.
Latkes.
I love latkes.
it sounds like I need to bring Justin some matzo ball soup.
I think you
There
do.
we go. We'll bring it and when we'll brew beer.
Great.
We'll do like a cultural exchange with my Irish side.
Great.
This 23andMe is corrupted just. He's like, I have all these cultures. I need to really bring them out.
I have to say, over the last week or so, his Facebook posts have been hilarious. Just like, oh, look at this, and now, blim blim blim. All of a sudden, he's like trying to
you're a
make
witch
everything.
doctor.
Now that I'm Native American,
right with
don't
his
get off my land. Please go home. We're
I'm
enforcing.
gonna laugh if they accidentally switch
policy.
the sample.
You must all leave now.
Wouldn't that be funny? They switched the samples by accident. Turns out he's not any of this.
Exactly. What's
You know,
the possibility?
I
You're like half goat.
I literally was very skeptical of being human, but
This is funny. It looks like you have some Ashkenazi Jewish ancestry. You share DNA with some 23andMe customers that have reported full Jewish ancestry. Well, I guess that explains the cupboard full of potato pancakes. Shalom!
Shalom, right?
but that's legit. Like ever since, and it's only Manischewitz. I don't. That's the only one that I can that comes close to Canners. But yeah, I'm all about the kosher food. But I think that's having spent enough time in LA.
I think so. That was
The late night deli experience.
Mm-hmm.
Wait. Did you say LA and late night deli experience?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what you do after a night of clubbing.
I just normally hear that with like New York City.
No, that's Los Angeles. Long night of partying. You try to sober up at 3 a.m. by going to Canter's and having coffee and potato pancakes.
Somebody just said that. CR1. I ate at Canter's too. All these
Yep.
people eating at Canter's. What?
What's beautiful
Never been
is
to
you'll
Canter's.
see
And
Canter's.
there's a big Jewish community in Detroit, too, and Bloomfield Hills and West Bloomfield. Very large Jewish community. Go Detroit, hometown.
LA also has a community where there are houses built for little people
Yes, there is, in Culver City.
in Culver City.
Yeah.
LA has
I was-
everything.
I was there like 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
LA has hobbits?
No, it was for the Wizard of Oz, actually. They built it for the
Because
Munchkins of the Wizard of Oz.
Because there's so many people that they hired who were working for them who are of shorter stature. They actually built a housing community where the houses are all proportionally smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, CR1, in the chat room. Yes, I am no longer simply an atheist. I am now a chosen atheist.
Yes, chosen for horrible hardship every 100 years or so. Enjoy.
Enjoy that.
And there comes the Jewish guilt. See? It was right.
There comes that, don't become one of us. It's hard. You won't like it. It's like what I do every time I try to discourage Californians from moving up to Seattle. You won't like it up here. It's wet and dim. It's not for you. It's horrible. Meanwhile, during the summer, sunshine. It's great. There's no Californians anywhere.
As a non-native Californian, it's been interesting out here. I've just a little over 4 years now in California, and
I've lived in California my entire life. Southern California, specifically Los Angeles, is not really California.
oh, of course not.
It's an island.
No, LA is weird.
It's like this.
I've only recently, like
world.
January, because that's where I'm at now. I'm in downtown, and I moved here in January. But yeah, it's
Move west, young man. Move west.
move west
Into
Move
the
west.
ocean.
into the ocean. I will be on a tugboat.
No, move.
No, he means
Wait a
like
second. If you're in
Ventura.
downtown LA, you need to still move a little further west.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. I am a lot. I'm in. You know where MacArthur Park is?
Mm-hmm.
I'm right by MacArthur Park.
Yeah, move west.
Pay my rent.
No, I hear you. But the LA was always amazing to me, and how small a town it turned into, for me at least. Like,
See,
if you
I've lived downtown in bigger, like I live downtown Detroit, and that's a small. It's everything compact down in one place.
Yeah.
And LA is just this sprawl of everything.
LA County's 14 million people. I mean, it's a big little city. But what's weird is, and I don't know what circles you're traveling, but if you're trying to do the Hollywood thing.
Oh no, I
right.
don't want to do that.
Well, what was really wild about that though is it's not as many people as you'd think.
No.
Like I kept running into people who would have mutual friends with me.
Mm-hmm.
Just right away, and kept running into the same people in this weird, like, it felt like a smaller town than the 80,000 people town that I come from.
See, now that I mention it, yeah, like all my JPL friends,
right?
We're finding like we know other people that work. You know, I do video work, and all of a sudden, I know all these other producers, and I'm like, wait, how? Oh, because everyone loves people at JPL. You were helping there getting on Mars with Curiosity, and it's
you
just
did that OK Go video? No.
Right. And then it just turns into this huge thing. So yeah, I totally know what you mean. Like, oh yeah, I was just up at Grant Imahara. I'm like, really? Like, cool. I don't know how I'm 1 degree away from these people on TV all of a sudden, but that's interesting.
Grant Imahara is such a nice guy.
He is a nice guy.
He's a really nice guy. Met him. He's very nice.
Although I have to say, I love playing Cards Against Mars with all the JPL people. That
would be
the best
fun.
night. We have so much fun being twisted human beings. And yeah, Cards Against Mars is amazing.
Blair, what's a
would be fun.
pescatarian?
I eat fish.
You eat what?
I eat sea creatures.
Because she likes to think that she can
Only?
hear them scream.
Yes, because they don't have feelings.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's mostly because of environmental stuff. Factory farming's really bad. I think that people, especially in America, eat red meat and poultry way more than they should. And it's causing all sorts of environmental and political and economic problems. And so I don't eat it. I also kind of, I don't know, I kind of have problems thinking about eating something that's been through a factory farm.
Factory farming is terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't need it, so I just don't bother.
And you also you work as an outreach person. So you're going into communities, going into schools, and you're talking about climate change. You're talking about the impact that these big farming operations, other things that we're doing as humans are having on the environment. And so you kind of got to walk the walk if you're going to talk the talk, right?
Definitely. And, you know, I think that everyone can do their part to you know, try to be more responsible. And for me, giving up all meat is not really an option for me personally. So I don't. I continue to eat sea creatures, but I try to eat sustainably. I try to eat sustainable seafood, so that means low environmental impacts. That means low impacts on the species. It means good fishing methods, humane fishing methods, no bycatch.
You only eat jellyfish.
Right. Yep.
Yes. Yeah. I like the whole try and get people to do meatless Mondays.
Meatless Mondays is really cool.
Meatless Mondays, try and make that happen more
It's
regularly.
also, we're omnivores, so we're really, you know, I understand we're supposed to eat meat, but we're also supposed to eat other things too.
Right.
And we don't really need this much meat in all 3 meals of our day. Really, you
Other
need
things like that.
this much meat like 3 times a week.
And we can get our protein from other sources than something with a face.
Like legumes.
Legumes.
No, plants have feelings. I feel bad about eating them.
Well, we know that they respond to physical stimuli, so
True.
you have to draw the line
I don't
somewhere.
want my plants to suffer me having to eat them, so I eat meat instead.
Right.
Oh yeah, I've got a cherry tomato plant out there that's 6 feet tall now. I don't want to eat it. I've spent a lot of effort growing it.
I only eat SpaghettiOs. I'm pretty sure there's nothing animal or plant in there. I think that means I'm safe.
So Blair, not like being 4% Ashkenazi. Does that mean I need to go to Israel soon, or does that mean, or is that not a necessary?
If you want to go to Israel, go to Israel. It's a beautiful country. I would not go.
Because 21.
In that case, if you wouldn't go, I won't go.
What?
You said you would not go.
No, I said I would not go if my entire reason for going is I found out I was 4% Jewish. Because
I want to go because Justin Timberlake went.
Oh.
Justin Timberlake went?
I'm at least. Yeah. No, it's at least 4%, Blair.
At least.
It could be up to 12%.
So if you wanna learn about the culture and you wanna go and see one of the most beautiful countries in the whole world, go ahead. I can tell you all about it.
Can you just go and then take pictures and send them back to me, and then I don't actually
I do that every time I go. There will be lots of pictures. Don't worry. This is my 4th time. I got it.
And then she was gone. And then she's back.
She wasn't gone.
I didn't go anywhere.
I must have left.
Can I go to bed now? It's 11:30.
No, not yet. Almost.
It is late. Yeah.
Almost. Okay, actually, you know what? I gotta go too because Blair has to go to bed, and I support my people.
Aww.
So this has become a whole weird thing that I don't feel very comfortable about.
Oh, and I'm Native American even more than I am Jewish. So you all actually, when we say goodnight, I want you to pack your things. Actually, you need to go do 23andMe so you even know where to go back to. But once we have a consensus on where you actually belong, I need you to go back there because you're all taking up space.
But Justin,
so we all have to go to Africa.
All in Africa, right? Exactly.
Yes, that would be
Blair
fine. That would be clear.
We might be the same people, but Blair and I are on the same wavelength, so that's all right.
Actually, if I take it too technical, 500 years, or no, 10,000, 11,000 years ago, my people were Siberian Inuits, and I don't really want to go back there. So
yeah, no, go home, Justin. Go home. You're drunk.
Go home. You're drunk.
I have a friend who's Siberian who's like, oh yeah, the Inuits. They leave where it's really cold. I'm like, what do you mean? It's like Siberia is cold. You don't go outside. I'm like, okay, but where they live, it's even colder. It sounds like I'm like, how do they live? Like, no wonder they kept going. Like, wherever we are, we have to keep moving. This is so bad.
This is too cold. We've got to keep going.
If they stop moving, they freeze in place.
Yeah, they had to keep going and going and going.
Well, that sounded like me living in Bozeman. That was nasty.
That is cold. Bozeman's supposed to be very beautiful, though.
All right, hopefully next week
absolutely gorgeous.
I'll be doing the show from the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
Next week. Wait. So next week Kiki won't be here.
Possibly not.
Kiki. So Blair, it'll be you, and then possibly me.
Uh-oh.
Are you serious?
Another solo show.
It's always a risk. Like this is why I'm still in work duds. Like it's always a risk that I'm not going to make it quite on time on these Thursdays with the new work schedules. So
I will make sure that there is a third.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
I will make fun of you from the internet.
Rude.
Robert Young.
I want Brian and Robert, but I always end up not on the show when they get to be on the show, and that's not cool. I like them.
You should go on a night attack.
I'm talking with them about that.
Yeah. There we go.
I'm gonna come on the. I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna get on the night attack. I'm talking with
Night
them.
attack's new. Hasn't been touched by science yet. Needs some science up in it. Yeah.
Exactly. We're gonna work that one. All right, everybody. I think everyone here is of the opinion that it is late, and I know there are those of you who are in places where it's even later. So we are going to sign off now. Thank you so much for being a part. Paul, thank you for joining as part of the Minion Patreon Hangout. Scott.
Fun. Let's keep doing them.
Yeah, we will. We will keep doing them. Scott, thank you for joining us and spacing it up a bit.
A show. It was fun.
Yeah, you even stayed for the whole after show.
I did.
No.
I'm
I
a
think
trooper.
that may be a TWIS guest host record after show stay.
Yeah.
I think so.
I've been hanging out all damn day.
You're like, I'll just hang out
Yeah,
longer.
As long as you don't care that I'm drinking beer, we're good. So,
I don't care.
Care, actually, it's a prerequisite for the after show.
There's that beer thing again. What is this beer? I don't know why I'd want to drink that over delicious handmade wine.
Handmade wine with the scary baby screaming, climbing on the ceiling label.
Handmade blackberry wine. This stuff grows like weed.
Gosh, dang, that sounds good.
yeah, it does sound good.
Oh, I'm totally jealous now.
I'm good.
Blair, Justin, thank you as always.
Blair, send me an email
Awesomeness.
explaining how I have to adjust. Like, what do I need to do? Like, help me become a better
Oh
Jew.
my goodness.
I've been-
We'll start with the matzo ball soup. We'll start with the
I've
matzo
been
ball soup.
yeah, I need some. I've got.
Thing is,
Right.
keep asking more questions, Justin.
Butterflies, everyone.
Good night,
Quantum
everybody.
butterflies. Good night, everyone. Thank you. Bye.